The girl's daily work involved cuddling, hugging, and lifting a handsome man. She lived in a luxurious villa and enjoyed various delicacies, yet she wasn't happy at all, because the man was a lunatic who wanted to kill whenever he got excited. And she, as a priestess, had to transform this mad dog into a gentleman and reintroduce him to society. The mess all over the floor, the walls chipped and scarred, all testified to how dangerous the man in front of her was. But the girl wasn't afraid at all. Golden holy power emanated from her hands, and the mad dog's crazed eyes gradually softened. Finally, he hugged the girl. "That's nice. Tia, have successfully survived another day." Patting the man's strong arms, she routinely asked him to let go. But he wanted more. She had to push him away forcefully. Looking up, she realized he had changed again. The rabid mad dog had become a clingy puppy. Exasperated, she signed, "What do you want now?" He struggled to express his needs, his words fragmented and broken. He wanted her to hug him. But when he was lucid, this man was very cautious around her. He wouldn't even dare to touch her, let alone hug her. Tia sighed helplessly. She took the initiative to hug the tall man, patting him comfortingly like a child. "Today is another day. I really want to quit this job." This strange man wasn't always like this. He was the main fighting force, a berserker of the 8th Unit. Simply put, they were killing machines, artificially created through cruel methods. On the battlefield, they would indiscriminately slaughter everyone. And after 7 years of diligent work, due to her lack of connections, she had finally reached the position of junior priestess, barely making ends meet. She had unexpectedly taken on this thankless task, responsible for helping this man with post-traumatic stress disorder reintegrate into society. She didn't understand war and didn't know how to fight. But having been to the battlefield twice, she knew the horrors of war. She knew how easily it could crush a person's will. The priests dispatched to the battlefield were responsible for healing the battered soldiers. But this was only to enable them to continue fighting. After the war ended, they would no longer receive any treatment. In this world dominated by connections and family background, the temple was no longer a charitable institution. And with the temple short-staffed, the fact that they sent an experienced priestess to treat him meant that his condition must be quite severe and he must be a nobleman of high standing. In her youth, she had also possessed unwavering faith. But this faith in the gods had completely changed after she experienced several near-death encounters on the battlefield. Even if she gave it her all and risked her life, no one would know how hard she tried. Life was inherently lonely. One comes alone and leaves alone. So she absolutely didn't want to take on another thankless task. But the high priest's offer was too generous. After receiving a substantial subsidy and the promise of a promotion and raise, she picked up her faith once more. At this point, she hadn't yet realized that she would face a problem she was completely incapable of solving. As for what kind of existence the 8th Unit was, originally, in a war with a neighboring country, they were at a disadvantage. Repeated defeats had made everyone lose hope of victory. Just as this war seemed lost, they appeared. Their origins were unknown. Although their numbers were few, their absolute strength turned the tide of the war. They appeared suddenly and vanished without a trace after the war ended. Their allies called them saviors, while in the eyes of the enemy, they were terrifying devils. She had also been very grateful to this group of people until she discovered their madness. So, from a certain point onwards, people's chunk for them changed from saviors to mad dogs. And they truly were a group of incredibly strong and skilled fighters. It was thanks to them that the war was won. The second prince, Pears, returned triumphantly after commanding the battle. However, the 8th Unit, due to their excessive ferocity, was concealed, and the second prince took all the credit for the victory. The one who received him was the then military staff officer, Robin, the third son of the Pillion family. Though capable, with the war's end, he lost the opportunity for further advancement. Now in charge of handling the aftermath of the 8th Unit, Robin took out a whistle. He advised Pears to carry it at all times. It was an item developed to suppress the hounds in moments of frenzy. Tia peeked at the rat by the door. Hopefully, she asked, "If I'm in danger, can they help me?" Robin dashed her hopes again. "They can help you dispose of the bodies, or become corpses alongside you. Either way, make sure you use the whistle." "Are you serious? Then what about my working hours?" "Of course, you won't have any time off. It's 24/7. The dog man ran incredibly fast. Tia once again felt her life was over. She was forced into the role and pushed into the empty mansion. Putting aside everything else, the place was excessively luxurious. It didn't resemble a doghouse at all, just as she thought things might take a turn for the better. Until she cheerfully opened the door, the mad dog glared fiercely at her. This person was terrifying, but she couldn't show fear. When dealing with a beast, showing weakness meant certain doom. She gripped the whistle and began to introduce herself. She barely started when the other person became even more terrifying. She didn't know how much sanity this person had left, but she knew if she got hit by someone this muscular, she would definitely die. Surprisingly, the other person remained still and didn't pounce. Could communication be possible? She tried again. I'm a priestess. The next second, the mad dog lunged at her. To save her life, Tia blew the whistle with all her might. A magic circle suddenly appeared around the man's neck. The beast was subdued. Tia slowly opened her eyes and found him collapsed on the ground. So that's what the whistle does. She couldn't feel the man's breathing. Don't tell me he's dead. She cautiously approached the man again. Are you not alive? If he was dead, she'd be in trouble. This was clearly an important person. She didn't want to die with him. Just then, she noticed deep ligature marks on the man's neck. He had fainted from asphyxiation, but he hadn't made a sound before collapsing. This made her feel a little sorry for him. Tia struggled to adjust him into a proper sleeping position. His well-developed muscles made his head hang awkwardly in the air. To make him more comfortable, she rummaged through the ruined room for a pillow. With a pillow in place, she felt slightly less guilty. Thank goodness he just fainted. But what about those wounds? They looked recent. Tia decided to go all in. She took the opportunity to examine him closely. She ripped open the mad dog's clothes with a gasp. It was less a human body, more like a weapon. Since I've wronged you, I'll give you some special service. Although Tia was a low-ranking priestess, she possessed an immense amount of holy power since childhood. To protect her undeveloped domain and due to exploitation by the temple, she hid her true abilities. Wounds that would take an ordinary priestess half a day to heal were easy for her. If she hadn't known he was a madman, his sleeping face would have resembled a prince residing in a palace. Suddenly, the man's eyes snapped open. Their eyes met. The following year, your first work-related injury patient has arrived. He's kneeling on the floor with a nosebleed. Mad Dog clutched his clothes, as if he'd done something wrong. He completely lost his composure. I took your clothes off to heal you, okay? What's with that look? Why do you look like you've lost something? This is crazy. I actually felt sorry for this man just now. I'm the one who should be pitted. Anyway, he seems to have regained his senses. She released holy power from her palm, trying to communicate with him. Don't be afraid. This is just healing. It's a warm, comfortable feeling. As the healing power began to take effect, Mad Dog slowly let down his guard. Tia guessed that he might have just been startled by the whistle. She'd heard that the 8th unit's hearing is sharper than a wild beast's. So, as long as she kept him calm, there shouldn't be a problem. Can you tolerate my voice? The man nodded. Good. It seems he's a good dog who knows how to endure. So, what's your name? Salus. That's a handsome name. Who gave you that name? Seeing the conversation going nowhere, she tried a different tack. So, are you usually in this agitated state? The dog-like man tilted his head in confusion. He didn't understand. Just then, Tia's stomach growled loudly. He started to become agitated again. She quickly explained that she was just hungry. Are you hungry? Why don't I bring the food and we can eat together? You can sit on the sofa and wait for me. Salus got up and walked towards the sofa. It seemed simple conversations were within the dog-like man's grasp. Opening the door, he smelled food. It smelled like beef. He didn't know at the time. Thought that something unexpected was waiting for him. And thought what a huge demonic presence Salus was facing. The girl tackled the man to the ground and used her holy power to heal him. But soon, she discovered the blood on him was just juice. Tia breathed a sigh of relief. It seems you choked because you were eating too fast. He stared at her intensely, not just with a murderous look, but also grabbed her shoulder, just as she began planning her afterlife, asking God for a little retirement fund. And a house in heaven. The man suddenly said the word poison. Salus spat out the remaining juice and wiped his mouth. The food at IS poisoned, he said. Fortunately, the poison didn't affect him, and because he just brought it, and she'd immediately wolfed it down. But she hadn't had time to use it, luckily avoiding being poisoned. But he hadn't eaten a single bite all day. And the look in this guy's eyes, it was as if she didn't feed him, she might become today's meal. So, Tia decided to take matters in her own hands. She would cook today and show him what she was capable of. Wait here, she said. The finished product was inedible, but the basic ingredients should be okay. She found potatoes and carrots. It was a pity there were no seasonings. The last time she cooked was before she came to the temple. So, in a way, she knew nothing about cooking. As long as it's cooked, it should be fine, right? Tia confidently brandished her knife at the ingredients. Blade of destruction. As evening approached, Robin arrived in a fluster. Did that guy kill anyone? Or did someone almost get killed by him? No, keep your voice down. He hasn't eaten yet. Hearing this, he finally relaxed. No news of carnage had reached him. Tia hurried back to check on Robin and saw the indescribable contents of the pot. Holy priestess, do you have a hobby of making this? This is dinner, and it's for Salis. Just a few hours ago, when Tia brought back the cooked soup, Salis was standing by the window holding a candlestick. She had to admit, just looking at his face and demeanor, he did have the potential to be a young master. As long as he didn't lose control of his emotions, he could probably enter high society immediately. But that fantasy was instantly shattered. The candlestick shot a bird. Mad Dog gave her a look. Her young master dream was crushed, and that's how she ended up with the finished product in her hands now. Robin said sincerely, "Wow, it seems you two are getting along well. I'm really looking forward to him becoming a young master and making his debut in society." What nonsense! But Robin's next sentence caught her attention. "I truly have hope for you. When Her Highness Shalatai arrives, there shouldn't be any problems, right? Who did you say is coming?" "Of course, Her Highness Shalatai and the third prince will be coming here soon. The two of them are extremely super concerned about Salis." Tia's world crumbled once again. If one were to ask who Shalatai was, the current emperor had crowned two empresses. The first empress passed away, and he crowned his lover, Pelia, as the second empress. But this favor was short-lived. He soon had a new lover. That woman was Shalatai, and because the emperor loved her so much, even though the current empress was still alive, everyone already considered Shalatai the third empress. The emperor's love for Shalatai and the son she bore him was a well-known fact. If they were to meet, given Salis' state, it would be better if he didn't wake up. Robin consoled her. Since they are royalty, they'll definitely have advisors, so don't worry too much. And I'll also find a way to take care of him. Right, he'd better worry about himself first. However, if it's because of this thing you made that causes an incident, I'm afraid I won't be able to help you. You intend to feed this to Salis. It's better than him starving to death with nothing. The food prepared here is all poisoned. Robin coughed dryly and assured her that fresh food would be sent later. However, what was in the pot looked more like a demonic creation than soup. Just throw it away. No, there are no extra ingredients to make anything else right now. No matter how much Robin urged her, the lump remained firmly stuck to the pot, unmoving. Tia still tried to salvage her food. You haven't even tasted it. Maybe it just looks bad. There are some things in this world you can completely understand without experiencing them. He won't die from eating poison, but I will. This is my first meal. You might as well just eat a raw potato. All right, isn't there also the roasted bird? Before she could finish her sentence, the bird spread its wings and flew away with resentment. Finally, Robin won. Anyway, I'll send fresh food and recipes over. Just throw this away. But with a loud bang, Salis burst into the kitchen. He growled like a beast. Give me food. The girl lay in bed, ready to sleep, unaware of the beast standing behind her. And the man was enduring the urge to tear her apart. It was a wriggling mass of slime. It looked terrible to anyone, but the man didn't hesitate. He shoved it directly into his mouth and chewed with a crunch. Is it good? The dog-like man actually nodded. I want more. Robin was stunned by this. It seems priests truly are blessed by the gods. I should get back to my political history. Salis asked. I heard there was poison in the food the chef made before. What kind was it? Kylon grass and Ongda umbrella. The girl was surprised he even knew that, because the 8th unit undergoes antitoxin training. They can identify most poisons, so their sight, hearing, and smell are as sharp as animals because of training too. Yes, they were already exceptional in every aspect and underwent rigorous training and magical enhancement. I didn't expect it to be magic. Someone actually turned children into beast-like war machines. Does this have anything to do with the temple? Robin's expression instantly froze. Are you curious? Even though he's smiling, he makes me instinctively feel danger. Salas suddenly reached out and snatched the food and started eating it himself. I'm not curious. Not at all. And I'll never be curious in the future. I'm just an ordinary priestess. My mission is to do the temple's work diligently. Robin was clearly pleased with Tia's cleverness, so he decided to give her a little well-meaning warning. Children train for the 8th unit. There are no stragglers. There are no failures. Because there are many ways to make people disappear, so it's best to do your job properly. Wouldn't you say? Of course. Even if he didn't have that ability, I would still do my job properly. Robin finally left close to dawn. Today was a long day for him too. They, out of curiosity, also tried that lump of food. They almost fainted. He took advantage of the chaos and abandoned the two, fleeing. He ignored Robin's cries for help. Although still hungry, he was content to have a bed to sleep in now. Salas, after eating his fill, should also go to rest, right? Whatever. He won't die anyway. The bed was very soft, which he was quite satisfied with. Tia tossed and turned, muttering to herself, completely unaware of the man standing behind her. It wasn't until he made a sound that she noticed Salas, looking like a wild beast. Something was wrong with him. She quickly turned around and searched. She pulled out the whistle. The beast flinched. He wilted like a deflated balloon. It seemed he was truly afraid of this thing. Is something the matter? Salas still looked ferocious. She could see he was restraining himself. It's too noisy. I can't sleep. Talking, footsteps, and even breathing. So it was because of her. Sorry, it's my first time sleeping in such a soft bed, so I'm a little excited. But you're in your own room. Can you hear my breathing? He perked up his ears in protest. Yes, and it's very loud. Tia was shocked. She knew he was sensitive, but she didn't expect it to be this exaggerated. Even if I told you to go back and sleep properly, I'm afraid you wouldn't be able to. Salas looked wide awake. Well, I probably can't sleep now either. Why don't we chat for a while? Salas followed her obediently. He even sat down with a rigidly straight back. She took out the tea she had brewed earlier, though it had gone completely cold. It's too much trouble to boil water again, so don't be startled by what I'm about to do. The tea in her palm instantly boiled. Are you a war priestess? Tia calmly poured the tea. I'm not. There are different types of priestesses. Those without divine power are ordinary priestesses. Those born with divine power are true priestesses. Those with special abilities are sent to war. They become war priestesses, but that's only a very small number of people. I don't want to die that quickly, so you have to keep this a secret, okay? She had another reason for taking this risk. Sharing a secret is the fastest way to bring two people closer. But Salas seemed indifferent. He tilted his head back and poured the entire cup of tea into his mouth. That's boiling water. She patiently taught him how to appreciate tea. Drinking hot tea helps to soothe tense nerves. You have to savor the aroma slowly, sip by sip. For some reason, she felt like she and Salas weren't so different. She possessed divine power, but it hadn't changed her life. Instead, it had only increased her workload. Just like this man before her, fighting desperately on the battlefield, achieving merits, only made him a little more attractive. Ugh, she slapped herself hard. What was she thinking? It must be because the room was too dark. She lit a candle, but she didn't expect that even this faint candlelight would make Salas uncomfortable. Are you going to put it out? He didn't say anything, but his complexion is much better. Tia wonders, besides my breathing, what else can you hear right now? 3 birds outside the window have woken up and are hopping around on the branches. There are also 5 mice outside. The guards at the main gate are changing shifts. Can you hear all of that? Yes, after all, I've been trained. No wonder he's like this every day. It's a wonder he hasn't gone mad. So Tia completely understands why he's like this. Would it be normal if he plugged his ears? Salas starts growling at her again. He really is mad. What is he doing? To soothe the agitated and sensitive beast, Tia stayed with him all night. Even after she left him, she worried about her breathing being too loud and disturbing him. But even with such caution, the morning's peace was shattered by 2 delivery men. Completely forgetting their employer's request for quiet work, they talked loudly, unaware that death had already raised its scythe. At the same time, the beast lunged. He jumped down from the upper floor. He could have just blown the whistle in the room. And the enraged Salis, upon seeing her, actually abandoned his attack, rushing towards her with open arms, choosing to save her first. This was completely unexpected for Tia. The worker, still oblivious to the danger, asked loudly where they came from. She grew angrier and angrier. Didn't anyone tell you the rules here? Leave quietly now, but we haven't delivered our goods yet. Leave now if you don't want to die. The beast's roar was more effective than anything she could have said. Finally, they were quiet. She breathed a sigh of relief. No, he's still here. Since he just caught her, has he regained his sanity? All right, it seems impossible. This is truly a hellish beast. She hugged the man. Lord Salis, please calm down. Spare them, should she take out the whistle. But she quickly realized Salis was restraining himself, and his expression seemed to carry a hint of unease. It's all right. They were just delivering food. They're not dangerous, and they've already left. Do you want to go back to your room and rest? Tia knew his rage wasn't without reason. His acute hearing made him more susceptible to stimulation. Coupled with the torment he suffered in the war and the constant threat of poisoning, that's why he's like this. Salis nodded as expected. Her mission was to help him adapt to life outside of war. He did well. Let me help you with your wounds. She had Salis lie on the bed, but he didn't react. Tia thought for a moment, then walked over and patted him. Come here. Then she patted the pillow. The man obediently lay down. She then pulled Salis over to turn him on his side. Compared to verbal commands alone, he understood better with accompanying actions. This is so uncomfortable. Is it still uncomfortable if you turn your face this way? Or is it uncomfortable? I prefer lying on the ground. Is it because you're not used to such a soft bed? It won't be uncomfortable once you get used to it. This isn't the battlefield. You don't have to be constantly tense. Salis obediently nodded. From her observations throughout the day, she found he was more inclined to be a weapon that followed orders. This needed to be corrected. What should a nobleman's son be like? All the ones she had met were petty and despicable bastards. The temple certainly didn't want to mold him into that. He should be the kind, reliable type that's popular with girls. It seemed she still had a long way to go. But after a while, Salis fell asleep under her soothing care. To prevent him from being poisoned again, he decided to cook himself. By the time he fetched the ingredients, Salis had woken up. Thanks to the treatment and a good night's sleep, he looked visibly better. Since he was here, Tia decided to have him check the ingredients for poison. None of them were contaminated. As she spoke, she flipped open the box the guards had delivered. Inside was a cookbook Robin had prepared. But after a single glance, she closed it. He could clearly read, yet the cookbook seemed like gibberish to him. Do you want to see? Salis stared intently. Do you like looking at this? He sniffed the book. Wagging his metaphorical tail, he declared, no poison. Of course there's no poison. I just wanted you to see the words inside. Seeing that he hadn't even picked up the book properly, Tia realized he couldn't read, because it wasn't useful for combat. But she grew increasingly curious about whose idea this was. How could someone be trained like this? It seems I'll have to teach you how to read. Salis looked confused. She repeated herself, do you want to learn your letters? Salis seemed lost. He didn't understand how to answer, perhaps not even grasping the concept. But surely no nobleman in the world was illiterate. Her workload was about to increase. But for now, let's finish cooking. Since you're good at chopping people up, that your knife skills must be excellent. Want to try? This time, he finally reacted. Stop picking up the knife. With it came an intense, murderous aura. We're just cutting vegetables. Do you need to be so terrifying? The man raised the knife and brought it down. It wasn't what Tia expected at all. She even thought the movements looked elegant, like witnessing the pinnacle of human civilization. So that's another way to cut vegetables. The blade work was so dazzling that she hadn't even noticed the food. Only when she got closer did she realize the ingredients had been reduced to an unrecognizable pulp. Chop very well. Don't do that again. Where did you learn that knife technique? Chopping into small pieces is like this, isn't it? That's how I process enemy corpses on the battlefield. Tia mourned for the onions and carrots for the first time in her life. Thankfully, the rest of the cooking process went relatively smoothly. Soon, she finally produced a pot of something resembling food. He hadn't smelled food in days. It's a good thing you helped. Lord Salis, how did you find cooking? Overall difficulty, low. I'm asking if you enjoyed it. He looked confused again. It wasn't. Unpleasant, at least. Do you want to cook again next time? Of course, you can if you want to. You don't have to if you don't want to. Perhaps my skills will improve in the future. Hearing that he might cook again, the previously bewildered Salis's eyes suddenly became determined. I want to do it again, next time. How mean Tia thought. Did he really dislike her cooking that much? with practice, that she could finally have a basic conversation with Salis. The two engaged in a question-and-answer session. Naturally, she asked and Salis answered. Do you like carrots? Average. Beds. Dislike. Spinach. Like. Tia hesitated for a moment. Danan asked, what about me? When she asked if he liked her, his answer came without hesitation. Dislike. This. Dog thing. How could he utter such cold words? Even a dog would develop attachment to the human who raised and cared for it. This guy wasn't even as good as a dog. Tia angrily demanded, why do you hate me? Too loud. He did have a point. In this man's eyes, she must be incredibly ugly. After all, he had superhuman senses. Ever since that day, because she ground her teeth and snored in her sleep. But he'd almost been killed by this man several times. But it wasn't something she could control. She had bad sleeping habits when she was tired. I've barely been grinding my teeth or snoring lately. It's still disturbing Salis's studies. He's a quick learner, but he still doesn't know how to alleviate his oversensitivity. Judging by his manners alone, he's ready to make his social debut. But his noise tolerance is still incredibly low. You can't possibly hate even my breathing. I'm not the enemy. I'm not going to attack you with a knife, you hopeless case. It's like she's glaring at him. Just die then. Don't you even like kittens? Don't like puppies? Don't like birds either. The girl is about to lose it, so you don't like any living creatures. Salis thought for a moment. Right? I don't like any of them. Stuck with a guy like this. Why is my life so hard? The room fell silent. The sounds of nature became more pronounced. The chirping of birds outside the window and the rustling of leaves in the wind. Salis stared out the window. Suddenly, he twitched. A leaf appeared in his hand. It was a tree leaf. You're not going to fight a leaf, are you? Tia continued to observe him. His emotions didn't fluctuate much. He looked back out the window. Tia asked, do you remember how to calm down? Salis started taking deep breaths. His gaze became focused. His whole body relaxed. You're calming down faster now. Good job. He didn't speak, but he thought to himself, this woman makes annoying noises whether she's asleep or awake. But whenever I'm with her, I feel something I've never felt before. It's different from calming down with drugs on the battlefield. That felt like my soul was being ripped away, like I was falling into an abyss. But this person is different. I don't need to block out her noise. She doesn't pose any danger to me. Being with her brings a sense of peace. Even everything around me seems better. However, Tia wasn't feeling good at all. Afraid of being disliked. She hadn't moved for so long that her legs were numb. Come to think of it, why was she kneeling like this? Because initially, she thought that if she wanted to mold him into a nobleman, she had to treat him like a servant. Only then could she cultivate his ability to act naturally like a nobleman in other situations. But why should she be a servant? Nobles also have a hierarchy, and she was a baron's daughter. This guy wasn't even a noble yet. Why should she? Tia spread her legs, shifting to a more comfortable position. My teacher said I'm of noble birth, so I don't want to grovel before you anymore. Unexpectedly, Salis accepted it immediately. Okay, that's fine. Then I won't hold back. Salis just stared at her without speaking. The atmosphere became awkward, causing her to overthink. First, drop the lord, just Salis. Seems a bit strange. Master Salis. That sounds kind of cute. Mr. Salis. That's the one. Tia smiled happily. Mr. Salis. In an instant, the obedient puppy transformed back into a wild beast. Hey, you just agreed to it. He rested his head on her lap, asking her to say his name again and again. Tia was amused by his puppy-like behavior. From this moment on, Salis seemed to have found something he liked. He stared at her with puppy-dog eyes. Again, it turned out Salis didn't dislike being called Mr. He just wasn't used to being called a mad dog, a killing machine, a demon of the battlefield. He had many titles, but no one had ever called him Mr. Salis. Say it again. He kept asking the girl to do it. Tia then realized he seemed to like being called that. He started softly calling his name. Salis watched him. He rested his head on the girl's leg, looking at her expectantly. Tia was amused by his cute behavior. What are you doing? You're like a puppy holding a sock for the first time. Oh dear, what am I even saying? She thought she would anger him, but Salis just shifted position. He lay on her lap, urging her to continue. Mr. Salis, should I keep going? He poked her face. Like this. I want to see that smile again. But forcing a smile is the hardest thing for humans to do. Sure enough, he looked dissatisfied. I can't laugh easily. How can I do it? Usually, people laugh together. If you want to be sociable, you need to learn to smile more. But Salis couldn't smile. Fighting might be easier for him. Oh dear, this little puppy is getting depressed. Look, he's even steaming. Have you never smiled before? It's not that hard. You'll learn quickly. Teaching someone to smile isn't difficult. It's just using facial muscles. But thinking about his past experiences, for some reason, she felt a sense of bewilderment. Or perhaps, deep down, she pitied Salis. But her task was to help him shine in social circles. Anything after that wasn't her concern. She couldn't afford useless sympathy. Good morning, Mr. Salis. Today, let's continue practicing smiling. Suddenly, she was pulled by a force. Salis held her at his side. The next moment, he jumped from the upper floor, taking her with him. Tia screamed, "There are people down there." Robin dramatically sat on the ground, complaining about their sudden descent. "Why are you acting so pathetic? Because otherwise, you two wouldn't not care about me." Tia was going crazy. "He's like this because of you. Mr. Salis, calm down, calm down. He's not the enemy." Robin looked excitedly at Salis, who was gradually calming down under Tia's soothing touch. "You two are so touching." Touching. That was almost a bloodbath. Seeing Salis completely calm, Robin started praising Tia loudly. As expected, flattery works on everyone. He works hard, and besides earning money, isn't he just waiting for praise? After receiving the promise of a raise, Tia was even happier. "But what are you doing here so early?" Robin took out a book. The title alone felt ominous. "This is a bit unusual." "What's unusual?" "This is great news. Tomorrow, Prince Cephian and Princess Shallot are coming for a visit." Salis. Tia refused. "I don't think it's appropriate." "You don't have to refuse," Robin added. "After all, it's the royal family's decision. I don't have a say." But she really wasn't confident, although she hadn't spent much time with Salis. She didn't want him to get into mortal danger because he couldn't control his emotions. Unexpectedly, he was surprisingly calm. "I'm ready to die at any time." Tia was taken aback by his words. "No, prioritizing your own life is human instinct. What kind of environment trained you to be like this?" "Salis, how many lives do you have?" "One life." He asked again. "You see, only have one life." Salis knew very well that everyone only has one life. Yes, that's why everyone cherishes their life. You should learn to cherish yourself too. She didn't expect him to fully understand, but hoped he would remember these words if he ever faced danger in the future. If no one reminded him, just because he couldn't understand, then it would be too cruel for him. She hugged the blood-soaked man, yelling for him to calm down. "Please, don't you want to live like a human being?" But Salis's world was pitch black. He was like falling into a bottomless abyss, his mind filled only with the thought of eliminating all enemies. To prepare for the arrival of the royals, Tia started making preparations with Salis. Fortunately, Salis had been very obedient lately. He not only learned manners, but was also surprisingly good at cleaning. Soon, they welcomed the arrival of the carriage. You must be wondering why I'm relying on someone like this. Besides being difficult to communicate with, Salis's learning ability is incredible. No matter what she taught him, he seemed to grasp it almost instantly. It was a truly enviable talent, especially when Salis held his head high and said, "This is so easy." She almost lost it. Although things were progressing smoothly, there was a problem with sound. He was still consistently sensitive. Tia tried taking him for walks around the mansion grounds, but the sound from all directions made him unable to calm down. Even the sound of wind blowing through the leaves could irritate him. The madman, as if wanting to kill everyone, would lash out at anything that moved. She could only keep chasing after Salis, crying and begging, "At least don't kill anyone. Not before I've groomed you into a proper young master." She was already covered in bruises, since she had endured so much. She had to let everyone know. After all, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. That's why she was putting on this act. She had Salis stand at a distance to avoid being stimulated. Shallot lifted her skirt and stepped down from the carriage. Her prospective benefactor had arrived. It was blinding. The strange woman's holy favor for so many years. "Welcome, your highnesses. My name is Tia. The one over there is Salis." The queen had indeed noticed him and inquired about his condition. Robin, with a bewildered expression, took the bait. She began her performance. On the path of following God, it's inevitable to encounter thorny paths. But how could I shrink back from such setbacks? The implication being that she had suffered greatly taking care of this madman. The queen took the bait. Accompanying the queen was the third Prince Cephian. He had the royal family's characteristic jeweled eyes. The boy asked curiously, "Why is Salis so far away from us?" "That's because his ears are very sensitive. If he gets too close to us, they might explode." "Oh, that's too bad. I want to say hello to him." Lying to a child wasn't good, but she couldn't exactly say that Salis's ears wouldn't explode. What might explode were their bodies. Just when she thought everything was going smoothly, A whooshing sound cut through the air. A sword grazed her cheek and flew past Prince Sephien's head. It was an assassination attempt. Tia, however, wasn't worried about the prince, as there were enough knights to protect them. Robin, sensing danger, yelled for her to blow the whistle. But Tia ran towards Salus. She had only one thought. She had to stop him. She had assumed that only someone would want to kill Salus, and that the royals, protected by knights, wouldn't need her to worry about them. The man suddenly vanished. Knights arrived, urging her to leave quickly. That's what I wanted to tell you. Didn't you hear, Robin? Members of the 8th Unit. If he enters combat, allies must maintain a distance of 300 meters. If he simply apprehended the assassin, there would be no need for intervention. The problem lies in what happens after he deals with the assassin. The scent of blood, the screams of enemies, and the thrill of tearing flesh will send him into a state of extreme excitement. He won't stop until everyone around him is dead. If he harms the royals, it will be irreversible. Sure enough, the next moment, screams came from afar, accompanied by intermittent cries for help. The sounds of cracking bones and roars were incessant. A severed hand flew out. Then came the horrific scene. Even without seeing it, they knew he had finished off the assassin. Their next target would be them. Robin appeared, urging Tia to blow the whistle quickly. But Tia didn't listen. She ran forward. Salus, in his frenzied state, came running towards her. Even so, she didn't stop. She yelled Salus's name and embraced him. She clung to him with all her might. Although Salus didn't harm her, he didn't stop running either. Robin was going insane. Blow the whistle. You'll die too if this continues. She knew, but she didn't want it to end like this. Salus, please stop. Calm down. She hugged his head tightly, obstructing his vision, and momentarily stopped him in his tracks. Tia desperately released her divine power. Calm down, please. We'll all die if this continues. But as soon as she finished speaking, he flung her off. Tia wasn't afraid of death. Though her life was short, she had seen enough of it. Tia pounded on him, trying to bring him back to his senses. You can't do this. But Salus's mind was filled with only the intent to kill. A voice in his head commanded him to kill all his enemies. Otherwise, it would never end. But who was he supposed to kill? The voice echoed again. It didn't matter. Just kill everyone who stand in your way. Rage, pain, and the stench of blood enveloped him. But faintly, he heard someone calling his name. Salus, stop. Calm down. Please. Didn't you say you wanted to live like a human? The wall artificially erected in his mind finally crumbled. Tia, still worried, held him tightly. Salus's body remained tense, still in combat mode. He was surrounded by enemies, but the person holding him, her urgent voice, kept pulling him back. Are you calm now? Tia's heartbeat echoed in his ears like a lullaby. But this noisy sound calmed him. He nodded. Tia sat up, relieved. Just as she was about to release him, Salus suddenly hugged her tightly. She froze. He mumbled, don't leave. I still want. Just as she tried to pull away, Salus hugged her again tightly. He murmured, I want to hear more. He hated all sounds, but hers was an exception. Tia hadn't expected her first encounter with the royal family to result in Salus's frenzy due to the assassination attempt. Just as she was worrying about how to explain, the queen took the initiative to comfort her. It seems your work is much more difficult than I imagined. I was merely following God's will. I apologize for frightening you. Don't mention it. I'm frequently targeted by assassins. Furthermore, she praised Tia's courage and offered her continued support. Tia looked at the young Prince Sephien. Are you all right? Sephien, his face filled with awe, replied, I'm fine. Salus was so cool just now. He's even more impressive than I'd heard. I hope I can meet him at a banquet someday. The queen patted her son with a smile. But that won't be easy. Originally, everyone was suspicious of Salus. But after what happened today, I believe that one day we'll be able to speak with him calmly. But that will be hard work for Priestess Tia. Surprised by the queen's words, Tia nodded. Of course, your majesty. I look forward to that day. Looking at the queen's outstretched hand, Tia was completely flustered. She frantically wiped the blood from her hands. I apologize, your majesty. I'm too dirty. The queen didn't mind at all. It's an honor to hold your sacred hand. She's so calm. She clearly hasn't experienced war, yet she can hold my blood-soaked hand without hesitation. Wait, why does she have divine power? And it's so strong. The queen continued, oblivious. To meet such a responsible priestess, that makes me feel very reassured. I'll be counting on you, Priestess Tia. Tia watched them leave, dumbfounded. People with divine power are very rare, and most people can feel it the first time their power manifests. The queen having divine power. Is that a good thing? But either way, it's none of my business. Please be careful on your way. But come to think of it, Salus is so quiet. Could he have fallen asleep standing up? After all, the divine power he exerted earlier was enough to knock someone unconscious. This has been a long day. Tia pulled the little dog back to the mansion. You just rest here for a bit. She pushed him onto the sofa. As soon as she stepped outside, she saw Rowan. His usual playful demeanor was gone. Why didn't you use the whistle? Things almost went terribly wrong. Not just Her Majesty and Prince Sephian, everyone present could have been torn to shreds. Because he's a person. If we want him to become normal, we have to treat him like a normal person, not control him with something like that. And I was confident I could stop him. Rowan stared at her silently. Finally, he sighed in resignation. Only you can be with him day and night. Since you say so, then so be it. But I still have to collect the body parts, deal with the aftermath, and report to my superiors. I'm going to be worked to death. Although Rowan appeared calm, he felt like Tia had punched him in the gut. He'd asked her to help Salus become normal, but she hadn't treated him like a person at all. Was she supposed to turn him into a true gentleman or a mad dog disguised as one? He didn't really understand his superior's intentions. The blood on her made her uncomfortable. When she returned to her room, Salus had recovered. Looking at the blood-soaked man, she began to worry again. Anyway, I have a new task for you now. Tia's eyes were firm. The little dog perked up, awaiting instructions. Take a bath. You can wash up in there. You know you have to take your clothes off first, right? She wasn't about to bathe him herself. Tia ran off quickly. I'll see you after you're clean. However, she hadn't anticipated that after Salus finished bathing, wanting to continue listening to her heartbeat, he would barge straight into her bathroom. Tia was humming a tune and soaking in the hot water. The next moment, someone burst in. Salus could have easily avoided the wooden tub, but he deliberately took the full impact. She shouldn't have expected him to bathe obediently. Just a few minutes ago, Tia threw the blood-soaked Salus into the bathroom. After seeing her leave, Salus got out of the bathtub. Taking off his ruined shirt, he began to observe his surroundings. The soap and towels on a rack. The familiar scent made him reach out, but he quickly withdrew his hand after touching them. The towel was soft, and the soap. His fingers were stained with a gentle fragrance. It all felt as if it could easily be crushed. Like trampled flowers. He remembered the girl's flowers. She always asked him if he liked or disliked this. He didn't like the slippery floor. He also didn't like the smell of the soap. He liked the sound of dripping water. He didn't like how all the sounds irritated him. He wanted to stop, but he remembered the girl telling him to clean himself. He turned on the water, finally finding a sound that wasn't so jarring. He started to wash himself, but separated from the girl, he started to miss the sound of her heartbeat. Salus didn't get into the bathtub, but scooped water out to wash himself. He roughly dried himself with a towel, casually slicked back his still dripping hair, and turned to walk out. I still want to hear her heartbeat. Meanwhile, the girl was completely unaware, comfortably soaking in the hot water, finally feeling alive. She couldn't remember the last time she had such a relaxing bath. Come to think of it, do the other members of the 8th unit also have a divine crown accompanying them like Salus? And do they get to live in such a nice house? Salus must be considered an honor student. It's no use worrying about others. She should just focus on herself. Who knows what the future holds? The puppy then walked in while she was completely unguarded, catching Tia completely off guard. Their eyes met. A scream echoed through the air. Tia closed her eyes. His movements seemed slow to Salus, but he felt he had to brace himself for a beating. At this moment, Tia's heartbeat reached an unprecedented, violent pace. She was panicked, helpless, and incredibly flustered. The increasingly loud thumping in her chest, like it was about to boil over, made the puppy's ears, specifically designed to listen to heartbeats, explode. He had not only screamed, but also attacked her. Wait, what was he doing? The girl's chi shrew weakened. Finally, she couldn't help but yell, "What are you doing? Is there an emergency?" Salus stopped. Too far away. I like your heartbeat. I want to be closer to you. Tia was exasperated and amused. This was the first time Salus had said the words "I like" without being prompted. It was a delightful improvement. If he were a puppy right now, maybe she would give him a small treat. But you're a person. Salus finally realized what he had done. He closed his eyes. Because she knew he didn't do it on purpose, she felt even more helpless. I understand. First, back away and close the door behind you. Tia sat in the bathtub and thought for 3 seconds. She decided to accept reality. Forget it. I really don't deserve a relaxing bath. That mad dog said her heartbeat could calm him down. Then let him listen. Anyway, that's always been his job. But in this situation, she had to stay calm. She absolutely couldn't lose her composure. Someone teach her what to do now. But her attention was quickly diverted. Mr. Salus, are you finished washing? The puppy nodded. But you're not clean yet. Here, And here, look at your fingernails. You didn't just rinse yourself and come out, did you? Is this how you usually bathe? The man's expression remained blank. Yes, the leader of the 8th unit doesn't even teach them how to bathe. They're the same. From the beginning, they were Suicide Squad, since they go into battle expecting to die. But there's no need to teach them these things. But why did he end up having to clean up the mess? A ferocious warrior, invincible on the battlefield, yet unable to even bathe himself. That day, not only did the girl encounter an assassination attempt, but she also witnessed something unbearable. God, can I ask you to erase that memory? Salus, in his utter simplicity, twists the knife. Your heartbeat is too fast, and your gait is unsteady. Are you injured? Tia was fuming, really not want to deal with him. But she couldn't be harsh with a child. I'm Euphine. He returned to the puppy's bathroom. The tub was only half full. The towel was also dry. She figured out how Salus had bathed. The left faucet is for hot water. The right one is for cold water. You can adjust the temperature to your liking. She pulled Salus to sit and see. Salus clumsily climbed in. Not even 3 seconds later, that he was completely flushed. The puppy protested fiercely. I don't like the bath. The temperature should be just right. Does it feel uncomfortable? My senses become dulled. If something happens, I won't be able to react to a surprise attack. He finished, then lowered his head, looking pathetic, as if he had done something wrong. The girl laughed. You need to become dulled. The puppy refused again. Tia understood clearly. On the battlefield, he needed to be constantly tense. So this feeling of relaxation must be very unfamiliar to him. Take it slow. Don't move. I'll teach you how to wash your hair. Close your eyes. Otherwise, the soap will get in them. Salus obediently closed his eyes, but soon his body flinched. Even if soap got in his eyes, he would endure the pain and open them. The girl sighed. Your eyes are practically bulging out. Let me rinse them for you first. Soon, a clean and handsome puppy reappeared. His looks were truly undeniable. It was a shame that even good looks were useless on the battlefield. She had Salus tilt his head back. This time, no soap got in his eyes. Relax your shoulders. That's it. The puppy slowly relaxed and leaned back. Suddenly, he tensed up and opened his eyes. The trauma from the battlefield wasn't so easily erased. It's okay. You're doing great. Raise your hands. Tia began to wash his fingers. Remember to clean between your fingers too. Although as a young master, someone would do this for you. You probably don't like that, do you? The puppy replied awkwardly. You don't like it? Then do it yourself. Like I'm teaching you now. Lather the rest of your body with soap. Then rinse it off with water. Finally, dry yourself with a towel before coming out. Got it. Although she had boasted to Rowan that she would teach Salus to be a normal person, she wasn't actually that confident. But seeing Salus follow her instructions step by step, she felt an indescribable sense of satisfaction. I'll go get some fruit. The mention of fruit that brought back unpleasant memories. She emphasized again, the robe is hanging on the door. You must put it on before you come out. As she left, the puppy blinked, his whole body finally relaxing. An hour later, she was once again troubled. Mr. Salus, you washed very well, and you put on your robe properly, but you insist on using this room. The girl had conflicting feelings towards the puppy. While protecting him, she occasionally had wicked thoughts of making him cry. But seeing him improve under her care, she felt a motherly sense of satisfaction. Salus no longer looked anything like his former, disheveled self, except for his still expressionless face. That he was practically flawless in every other aspect. She adjusted his robe and instructed her on how to handle the details. All right, walk for me. He could already imagine him sweeping the entire social scene. He felt so proud. After all, he was the one who taught him. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say he was a hidden prince. He must have been as handsome as Prince Cephian when he was young. Of noble birth and with such qualities, why was he sent to the 8th unit? He wondered. Salus suddenly answered him. I don't remember. Is that so? All right, you don't have to walk. Was it because he was too young to remember? I don't have any memories from before I joined the army. Tia was surprised. How old were you when you joined the army? I don't know. Then where did your name come from? Salus still didn't know. Have you always been called Salus? Yes. He learned from Rowan that training them would bring salvation, but he didn't expect it to be so severe as to erase all of his memories. Mr. Salus, could you lower your head? He didn't want to delve into why his memories were erased. It was dangerous for him, but if he could help him recover some of his memories, then his future learning would be much easier. Sure enough, there was something inside. Intricate spells were swirling in his mind. He couldn't treat them carelessly. One wrong move could turn him into a cripple. It was better to wait until he could find relevant books and practice before doing anything. Fortunately, Salus was very obedient now. I can officially begin teaching you about social etiquette. Seeing Salus's clueless look, a mischievous thought crossed his mind. I won't go easy on you anymore. I'm going to make you study hard. Be prepared. Salus looked obedient. I'm ready. Tia, deflated. How boring. He thought this muscle-bound man would be disgusted at the mere mention of studying. Like this. But he didn't react at all. He originally thought, since he couldn't see him smile, he would try to make him cry. Well, that doesn't seem very nice either. There are many things to be aware of at social gatherings. Although if you just dress up a little, most people won't notice these small things. But I'm afraid someone might give you a hard time. The day I made my social debut was incredibly embarrassing. When my brother made his debut, my family spent a fortune buying him a very handsome outfit. I thought I would also get a gorgeous dress, but my parents said they couldn't afford it and borrowed a frumpy dress from a relative. I was the biggest laughingstock at the party that day. But that's all in the past. I won't let you go through that. Only those who have been scolded know how to avoid being scolded. Don't you feel relieved and touched? The man suddenly stopped. He looked at him questioningly. Mr. Salus. The other man suddenly spoke. I understand. Salus's gaze was intense and unwavering. As if in his eyes, he was the whole world. It made his heart skip a beat. He chuckled nervously. Sometimes I really don't know what you're thinking, but you're definitely going to make a lot of people cry in the future. Salus didn't understand. He followed Tia again. Making people cry is my job, not yours. Try not to do that. Salus's possessiveness towards Tia reached its peak with the arrival of the second mad dog. Even with Tia holding her tightly, she couldn't completely calm down. After discovering Salus's exceptional learning ability, Tia's life here was like heaven. As soon as she opened her eyes in the morning, Salus was already washed and dressed and had breakfast ready for her. She could eat his gourmet cooking every day. Whenever he had free time, he would clean the house. He lived like this, eating and drinking for free. He thought he had boarded a train to hell. But when he arrived, he found it was heaven. It was just a little scary on the way. Tia discovered something while teaching him. He must have received a good education before losing his memory, because Salus's handwriting is very beautiful. Compared to her own elementary school penmanship, Salus's is practically art. He can memorize every word after being taught only once. He has already read many books by himself. It's just a shame he doesn't have much of talent for desserts. Today, Tia decided to ask him what he wanted to learn. Tia went to Salus's room. Sure enough, he was reading again. This scene is pleasing to the eye no matter how you look at it. And such a handsome man was single-handedly created by her, Tia. The sound of shattering glass suddenly rang out. Salus was already standing by the window. His expression, for some reason, had become fierce again. Could someone have passed by? Tia stepped forward to comfort Mr. Salus. It's okay. Calm down. It's nothing serious. Usually, hugging him like this would calm him down. But after a while, he was still on guard, and it was getting worse. Could something have happened? A loud knocking came from downstairs. A pair of bloody hands pounded on the door. From the sound, she could tell the person was very urgent. Besides designated personnel, no one would come here without reason, and no one would dare to knock like that. But she couldn't see anyone below from the window. Let's go down and have a look. I've taught you what to do if someone visits. First, identify the person by their voice. Then decide whether to let them in. Salus tilted his head towards the downstairs. I think I know who it is. It is said that during the war, many people tried to assassinate members of the 8th Unit. The recent peace almost made her forget about that. If the situation was urgent, should she order Salus to attack and bite them? No. She had finally managed to raise him from a beast into a person. How could she let him become a dog again? Thinking this, she stood in front of Salus. Don't move. I'll handle whatever it is. Salus looked at her suspiciously. Don't look at me like that. I'm a priestess who's been through war. Besides, no one will see me here. As long as they're caught off guard, I can just eliminate them with fire. The gods gave me this power. Surely it's for protecting myself. Who is it? A familiar voice came from outside the door. It was Rowan. He looked disheveled. I'm sorry I couldn't contact you beforehand. Can you let us in first? But when she opened the door completely, she saw the red-haired man being supported by someone behind him. And this man was the root of Salus's anger. Salus vehemently expressed his displeasure. His whole body was rejecting their entry. Salus, please be understanding. He still refused, showing his dislike. At this rate, they might be killed by Salas as soon as they entered. Although she didn't understand why this man made him like this. The way Rowan looked at her made it impossible for her to ignore them. She turned and hugged Salas. Calm down first. Rowan looked stunned. Tia started giving him signals with her eyes. Hurry up and bring him inside, somewhere he can't see. Thankfully, Salas didn't break free from her embrace. She soothingly stroked Salas. Judging by his reaction and the other man's build, could he also be a member of the 8th unit? Thinking this, she pulled Salas along. Let's go back to our room. But the unexpected still happened. Salas started clinging to her, refusing to leave her side. He lay on Tia's lap like a puppy, letting her stroke his hair. And this action, which was only meant to calm Salas down, couldn't they just be a little more accommodating? Anything would be fine, as long as they were willing to take him in. Tia felt a strange sense of power being on the giving end for once. Since he was begging her, she supposed she could at least consider it. The weather was nice. Salas's hair was as soft as ever today. But no meant no. How could she possibly take in another member of the 8th unit? Especially one who wasn't as docile as Salas. This one had even beaten his own priest half to death. Even Salas seemed wary. He only took this protective stance when he was truly agitated. Rowan, who had brought the man, looked distraught. He explained that if they couldn't find someone to take him in, the man would be disposed of. He was a walking time bomb. He was a government asset, after all. Imprisoning him would cause too much trouble. Wait, did he mean they would kill him? Ever since Salas had become more manageable, Tia had thought her life was finally looking up. He was Salas's former colleague. She wasn't asking Tia to take full responsibility for him, just to look after him until they found another priest. She didn't need to turn him into another Salas. Just keep him out of trouble. Tia was conflicted. It wasn't her responsibility. Why should she care? But then again, the man would die. Oh, did she think Rowan would ask for her help for free? Rowan, as expected, offered an incentive, double the usual compensation. Tia perked up immediately. These two were costing her more than double the effort. Seeing a glimmer of hope, Rowan pressed his advantage. Double the base fee, plus her earned bonus, for a total of quadruple pay. Tia transformed into an angel on the spot. The divine had said to never fear hardship. Priest Rowan, you are my god. She was in too deep now, but money could redeem her. Quickly, she led Salas to the room where the man was being held. Just as she was about to open the door, Salas warned her not to approach. It was fine, he was sedated. As the door slowly opened, Salas's expression changed. He was awake, just as Tia braced for an attack. Salas lunged forward and pinned the man down. The redhead yelled, "Damn it, you're still as rough as ever." "You're louder, you mutt," Salas retorted. Tia stepped back. "You mad dog. I'm Salas, so what? You're the crazy one." "I'm not crazy." Tia watched them quietly. They were managing to bicker while fighting. Should she intervene? Or was this some sort of 8th unit communication method? She still had the whistle Rowan had given her, specifically for emergencies. He had been very serious about using it if needed. As she hesitated, the fight shifted. The redhead's tone became frantic. He was being completely overpowered by Salas. Tia put the whistle away. It seemed he wasn't the one in danger. After a thorough beating, the redhead finally quieted down. Tia was more concerned about Salas. "Salas, are you all right?" He picked the redhead up. He looked at her, a bit disheveled. "I subdued him." He had managed to restrain the man, with barely a scratch on him. "Good. Didn't you two used to fight when you worked together?" "I only held back because of military orders, and he was a lot quieter back then. He specializes in infiltration and assassination. He's incredibly volatile and difficult to handle. He'll probably cause a scene when he wakes up." In the unit, those who were difficult to control were eliminated. So Rowan had been telling the truth, but she had agreed to take him in to save his life. "Well, unless absolutely necessary, let's try to subdue him gently." Salas nodded obediently. Tia thought he was probably planning to find some soft rope and then gently beat him when he woke up. After Salas's loving lesson, a few hours later, help finally faced reality. He ate the meat ravenously. Did that mad dog actually make this? It's delicious. Did Sister God lock him up? Tia was surprised he could taste anything. "You can taste it, as long as I have a tongue." He looked at Salas. "Can you, little doggy? Your eyes that aren't firm at all." This was the reaction he only had when he felt extremely guilty. He had thought all the soldiers in the 8th unit were the same. Now it seemed there were differences. "Help, can you hear my heartbeat? Or the birds outside the window?" "I can. Does it bother you?" I don't feel like those things affect me. So you can think. It's not Sister God. Why do you always treat me like a dog? Sandwiched between two mad dogs, the girl felt her life was over. She had thought the newcomer would be more mature, but he turned out to be a crybaby who burst into tears when scolded. This all started a few days ago. After concluding, the redhead had his own thoughts, that he was full of confusion. Sister, why do you always treat me like a dog? Sorry. I didn't mean to. It's because I realize you're different from Salus. I don't treat you like a dog. Sister, you're cool. Tia smiled. I'm pretty cool. But why are you just standing there? I just think you're so cool. It seemed he had basic social skills. He no longer fit the description of a mad dog. Not only that, but the redhead could act cute and beg to be untied. You and Salus are really different. You've clearly received the same training and curses. Everyone's different. I am different from other dogs. I joined the 8th unit older than them, so I understand more. I don't have as many curses as others. He had asked Rowan, but even as a military advisor, Rowan knew nothing about the curses. The 8th unit was managed by royal military personnel. He had no right to interfere. It seemed this person might have some clues. Do you know what that curse is? The redhead didn't know either. He only knew it made people extremely sensitive. He had resisted it at first, but the constant battles were too painful. To survive, he had to accept the curse. Those idiots who couldn't handle it were executed. Those they didn't want to kill had their memories erased. Although unspoken, they both knew he was referring to Salus. After confirming help was no longer aggressive, Tia untied him. Sister, you're really something. You actually got that mad dog to learn such advanced cooking. That's because Salus is a quick learner. Who knows? Before he came to the 8th unit, he might have been some rich kid. He always looked different. We were all curious why someone like him was brought here. Do you remember what Salus was like when he first arrived? He had his memory wiped as soon as he got here. I heard he'd already been through a round of battles. I remember he was dazed, couldn't speak, couldn't take care of himself, didn't sleep or eat. He was more like a beast than anyone. Invincible on the battlefield. After that, anyone who lost control had their memory wiped. But Salus didn't end up like that. But if your memory is wiped repeatedly, wouldn't that cause problems? Helt spoke of cruel and terrifying things in a casual tone. After a few times, they become stupid. They go crazy on the battlefield and die. Those guys are going to die on the battlefield sooner or later anyway. Doesn't it bother you to see that? They're your comrades. We're ready to kill each other at any moment if ordered to. They're not comrades. What a terrifying environment. But the people involved spoke about it so casually. What right did she have to judge? Helt seemed to have flipped a switch, talking faster and faster. So, seeing him like a newborn, completely blank. I thought this guy would be dead soon. His tone has gotten really strange. I didn't expect him to actually survive to the end and meet me here. Tia was momentarily stunned. She instinctively grabbed Salus's pistol to protect him. This is hostility. Both of you stop it. Don't be so aggressive. We were having a good conversation. Why suddenly start a fight? The redhead scratched his head. I don't know. I just want to hit him whenever I see him. Tia continued questioning to distract him. He just suddenly changed his expression without warning. He could hold back in the unit. Wait, could it be that the redhead is getting more and more irritable? This guy's eyes, nose, and mouth are all provoking me. Why should I put up with him? Salus stepped in front of him this time. If they fight here, if they run outside, the situation will be out of control. The redhead suddenly attacked. Tia hugged the puppy. No, Mr. Salus. With a thud. Tia thought it was too late. Helt's voice became panicked and confused. Why? What's going on? Salus's back was like a mountain, blocking him. When he turned his head, Tia saw that half of his face was bruised. He was actually hit. The redhead was just as shocked as she was. This guy got hit by me, and it wasn't even a sneak attack. Hey, you're the one who attacked first. Why are you so shocked? But he had to do something. He, come down. The redhead started getting agitated again. Who are you to tell me what to do? Tia grabbed him. Even if you don't like it, just cooperate with me. He was picked up and lifted high by the redhead. In a blink of an eye, he was snatched back by Salus, who was consumed by jealousy. Because of Tia's single word, no. The puppy just endured Helt's blows. His face was covered in bruises, but he turned to look at her unconcernedly, as if waiting for her next command. She thought this couldn't continue and stepped forward. He, come down. But the man started attacking indiscriminately. Damn it, who are you to tell me what to do? Tia grabbed him. Even if you don't like it, please cooperate. Tia radiated a holy light. We can do this, little brother. If Salus is a beast, then Helt is a giant baby. All sorts of people come to the temple every day, and 20% of them are giant baby customers. Generally speaking, they're just unreasonable guests. In other words, they are completely impossible to reason with. The way to deal with these people is also very simple. Overwhelm them with your presence. She started her persuasive speech with deep emotion. After experiencing so much hardship and torment, the brave you still persevered until now. So I believe you can definitely do it. Sure enough, the redhead's arrogance weakened. Why is that so? Of course. Come, feel the peace within your heart. It's a spiritual power that can ignite your fighting spirit. She began to channel holy power. The redhead's eyes rolled around. What is that spiritual power? Since he didn't shake off her hand, it meant Helt wasn't resisting. Now it'll be easy. It can calm you down. Are you calm now? Helt thought for a moment. I really am calm. I haven't felt this way in a long time. Sister Priestess, you're amazing. Tia smiled and let go of his hand. I'm indeed amazing. The redhead excitedly lifted her up. It actually worked. After coming back from the battlefield, this is the first time I've felt so relaxed. Now I don't feel like bugs are crawling all over me. My vision has also broadened. How did you do it? That's easy. It's just that there's a secret method. Although Salus is growing rapidly, seeing Helt's obvious improvement is also very gratifying. Just then, he was pulled away by a strong force. Salus had hugged him tightly. The puppy snarled with a contorted face. The two were at each other's throats again in an instant. What? Do you want to fight me again? No. Both of you need to calm down. Weren't you just getting along? Stop fighting. Let's calm down and talk nicely, okay? Both of them froze at the same time. Tia continued to persuade them. You're both good dogs, right? Helt snorted and turned his head, indicating he was willing to call a truce. Having resolved one issue, she immediately turned to Salus. Unexpectedly, the puppy suddenly looked dejected. This time, it was Tia's turn to be stunned. Had she said something she shouldn't have to these two? Over the next few days, Helt would frequently go berserk without warning. He constantly provoked Salus. The two were either bickering or in the middle of a fight. She had originally thought that although they were both sensitive, they were at least human. But in reality, the more sensitive a creature is, the more likely it is to cause trouble. Helt would sometimes even get angry at rocks on the road, although his fights with rocks were none of her business. Emotions are easily contagious. She constantly mediated between the two. Even the clouds in the sky could infuriate the redhead. He seemed to have simply gone mad. But not long after, she realized he was just having episodes. If Salus could endure the provocation, the other party wouldn't actively attack. But the problem was that, because Salus had to endure Helt, he became even more clingy than usual, sticking to her almost constantly. It started to worry her a little. Tia gently stroked his head, her tone helpless yet doting. What are we going to do with our little dog? You'll have to live independently in the future. It seemed he enjoyed being petted, perhaps because he had suffered a lot since he was young. Mr. Salus, I need to calm Helt down first, so can you wait a moment? The puppy raised his head. I understand. Just as Tia was about to walk forward, Salus suddenly pulled her back. He walked forward, saying, "Someone's approaching." She curiously poked her head out to look. Something suddenly shot through the window. Salus quickly turned and shielded Tia, dodging the projectile. To protect the wounded puppy, Tia no longer concealed her abilities. With a single blow, she eliminated all the assassins. When Salus tackled her, Tia noticed an iron sword embedded beside him, and this attack had successfully enraged Helt, who was already on the verge of a rampage. He ran towards the window, but was stopped by the puppy. It's dangerous, I know, but I have to stop him. If he causes a commotion outside, it will be a disaster. Trusting him, Salus nodded. But in the next moment, she was hoisted onto his shoulder. Tia had a bad feeling. The puppy jumped straight down from the upper floor with her. She wanted to say she could walk herself, but she quickly gave in. It didn't matter who ran, as long as they were fast enough. Salus quickly caught up to them. He stopped with Tia not far away. Fortunately, they hadn't run out of the estate. But from the screams in the distance, she could already imagine how gruesome the scene was. It was sheer luck that she had been able to tame Salus. This time, she was worried he would rile the puppy up too. If it really came to that, she would just have to blow the whistle. No, not her whistle. Tia was dumbfounded. She hadn't thought she'd need it so soon. He just casually tossed it on the vanity. He's crazy. How could he leave something so important lying around? Salus suddenly moved. I want to check on him. He was thinking about going back to get it. It seems there's no time. Then be careful. They're getting closer. Salus's mood began to shift. Soon he saw Helt and the assassins. Torn flesh scattered around them. He relentlessly attacked the sword-wielding assassins with his bare hands. He roared incessantly, "Die! I'll kill you all! Who sent you to kill me?" The scene was beyond imagination. With his strength, the fight should have been over quickly, but he seemed to be badly injured. Tia didn't want to interfere. In the end, she sighed. If he were truly powerless, it would be one thing. Unfortunately, he was somewhat capable. Flames manifested around him, swirling and churning. In the next instant, the assassin's eyes began to burn. He precisely controlled his power. He didn't burn them to death, but incapacitated them. This was a tactic he only used on the battlefield as a last resort. That arrow was clearly aimed at him, so his actions were just self-defense. Surely the gods would understand. Helt stood there, frozen. He didn't seem to have recovered yet. I need to get him back quickly. She embraced the impulsive redhead. If only Helt could be soothed this way too. Just then, Tia noticed something was wrong. The redhead wasn't trembling from anger. Could it be? Tia slowly approached him. Helt had a vivid memory of the battlefield. If he survived in this state, he would clearly remember what he feared. Those who have experienced death fear it even more. He remembered the terror of death. It's all right now, Mr. Helt. Once consumed by fear, even ordinary things become terrifying. This was why Helt was losing control. Tia hugged him. There are no more assassins here. They're all down. No one will attack you anymore. You don't need to be afraid or keep fighting. It's safe here. Look around. I've taken care of them. Helt began repeating her words. Yes, you took care of them. It's safe now. Tia was relieved he could still understand and communicate. This was a good sign, but the next moment he froze. The man who was just violently ferocious burst into tears. He cried like a child, tears streaming down his face. Tia was stunned. The redhead, regaining his composure, sobbed to her, "My wounds hurt so much. It really hurts." He didn't know how much this would affect Salus. Salus snatched Tia back from the redhead. He hated it when she embraced anyone other than him. "I don't like this. I feel like I'm suffocating." Helt shock stopped crying. With his struggles, Salus finally let go. He sighed in relief. "Let's go home then." But then the crying started again. "Seriously? Not again." The redhead clung to Tia pathetically. Tia felt like her head was about to explode. A flower-like girl surrounded by muscular men. What a sexy and romantic scene it should have been. But in reality, it wasn't like that at all. She felt like a fishing rod caught between them. Neither of them would let go. The redhead whimpered, "Sister, I'm scared." Then to Salus, "You're a mad dog." Salus was furious. "You're the mad dog." "Sister, he called me a mad dog. Please, just leave me alone." Tia never expected Helt to be taken away so quickly. "Thank you for your hard work. We found a divine being who can take care of Helt. Thank you for your dedication all this time. How have you been feeling during this period?" Tia hesitated. "Actually, I think he's been much better lately." Helt was not only tightly bound, but also had a hood on. "You didn't have to tie him up so tightly. It was just a precaution. Thanks to you getting him to sleep, I was able to take him away smoothly. Just return the whistle to me." When we first got back to the mansion, he had a brief chat with Helt. He's back to normal now. He said he must have been crazy to have been so tearful. "Since coming here, I've definitely felt my ching-shing periods getting longer. I thought everything was all right." Seeing that the girl seemed unconvinced, he added, "It hurts my feelings that you don't believe me, sister. Although I caused a bit of trouble when I first arrived, I'm really much better now. Before, whenever I had an episode, I would just run wildly. But now, with a little effort, I can control myself. I'm very lucid now. Or rather, I've never been this lucid in my life. I even think that even if that mad dog provokes me, I can resist hitting him." "Okay, I understand. Please stop talking like that." "Since you say so, sister, I'll let him off. I'm going to take a bath and have a nap. Since coming here, I've been able to sleep for more than 3 hours." "How can you sleep so little?" Salus suddenly spoke. "Helt's main responsibilities are stealth and riding, so he can't sleep for too long." "Who told you to answer for me?" "Shut up. Why are you ordering me around?" "Because I don't like you." Tia then realized that Salus seemed agitated because she had interrupted Helt. Although it's common to become fixated on a divine being, she just hoped these two wouldn't start fighting. Helt suddenly stopped arguing. "Forget it. We're not children. Why are we acting like this?" Tia also sensed that Helt's current state was indeed much better than when he first arrived. Thinking of this, she offered, "Helt, I can help you sleep longer." The redhead turned around in surprise. "You have that ability. I can't do it often, but considering you were startled today, consider it special treatment. Lack of sleep makes one sensitive. Good sleep leads to good health. So if I could get a good night's sleep, I could become a saint. To be honest, Tia regretted what happened afterward. If she hadn't offered to help Health sleep, could she have said a proper goodbye to him? The sword that was aimed precisely at him and the sudden arrival of Rowan filled her with unease. She only hoped that Helt would be well after he left. Unfortunately, reality often disappoints. It turned out Rowan was acting on the second prince's orders to retrieve Helt. Thank you for your hard work. It would have been better to just eliminate them all. It's because that person was too powerful. It made things more complicated. Should we send knights again? Not now. They're not stupid. They'll definitely be more vigilant recently. We'll wait for another opportunity. You're lucky. Thanks to that person, you didn't have to watch over him personally. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had the chance to come to my side. Get up. I can't even see your face. I hope to continue working with you long term. Yes, it's an honor, Your Highness. You may leave now. Next time we send someone, remember not to leave any trace of the royal family. Not long after, Rowan suddenly visited again. The girl's smile set off alarm bells in her heart. Her pounding heart seemed to foreshadow danger, but it was completely different from what she felt on the battlefield. Tia had been troubled lately, because everyone who approached her, Salis would show intense hostility towards them, even towards Rowan, who visited them frequently. He brought a new cook and a physical therapist. Rowan grabbed Tia's hand. Because of your outstanding performance, we've specially assigned additional staff for you. But it's best to keep a safe distance from me. It seems Salis is still a bit sensitive. It doesn't have to be that far, though. Once the administrator has fully investigated Salis's condition, we'll send more people over. To be able to mobilize so many people, you must be a messenger sent by the gods. That's right. A girl just wants practical results. You've achieved practical results. Write these words in the evaluation report. Of course, I certainly won't hold back on my praise for you. Although he and Rowan seem to get along well since the attack, their relationship has gradually become distant. Rowan is like someone between an enforcer and an administrator. He doesn't need to be courting death. Also, Salis seems to have become more sensitive lately. Because of his stress reaction, he can no longer earn pocket money from the guards with his divine power. Even just now, he had to be held by Salis to speak a few words to Master Rowan. To prevent the situation from worsening, he scolded him severely. The puppy always looks unhappy with his ears drooping. Are you planning to cling to me forever? No means no. No amount of whining will change that. It's not good that the administrator suddenly appeared. In front of outsiders, he still has to treat him like a young master. It's all right, you don't have to mind me. I know some young masters have particular tastes. Tia is going crazy. Why is this person misunderstanding things in such a strange way? I absolutely will not divulge the two of your private lives. I'm not. He's just assertive. It's his nature. Although I seem to have explained it, it feels like I'm just digging myself a deeper hole. If we want to invite other specialists to help, we need to understand the young master in all aspects. What aspects? Mainly including nutrition, skin and physical indicators, etc. I hear it requires direct physical contact. He looks at the puppy. Mr. Salis, do you mind? If you don't like it, we can do it later. The administrator is stressed. Does the young master not like physical contact with others? This is troublesome. If that's the case, then muscle massage and skincare will be very difficult. No wonder you're paid so well. Of course, he's risking his life for this job. How about this? If I touch the young master with you, will it be all right? Tia is momentarily stunned. He'll get used to it eventually, right? Isn't this just increasing his workload? At the very least, we should be accommodating the client. The unspoken message. Let's just get this over with. Young Master Helt, what do you think? As long as it concerns Tia, the puppy is always agreeable. The administrator is overjoyed to receive cooperation. I'll show you my professional skills. We'll start with a simple skin elasticity and texture test, along with a hair health diagnosis. The puppy doesn't understand. Is this interrogation training? No, at least it doesn't seem like it for now. But not all interrogations are visible. After the complicated tests, the two look like they've had their life force sucked out by a fairy. Tia leans exhaustedly against the puppy's leg. This half day has been an ordeal for them. He meticulously examined every inch of Salis's skin, and every single hair. Is this the path to becoming a young master? Probably. Otherwise, why would they send him here? Even noble ladies don't have such a tedious process. It's almost dinner time. Before I finish cooking, would you two like some chocolate? Wait, since when were you? Mr. Salis, did you see him just now? He's been there for a while. Then why didn't you say so earlier? I'm sorry. I'll go arrange a room for you now. It's okay. Let's eat first. This is chocolate. It can help you recover your energy. Chocolate isn't common. Only professional chefs know how to make it. This is a high-end dessert that you can't necessarily buy even with money. Thinking this, she unwraps one and offers it to the puppy. Helt just stares at the chocolate. Aren't you going to eat it? Tia tapped her foot and quietly asked him, is there poison in this? No, it's just I've never smelled this kind of scent before. I'm not sure if it's edible. It's true, you probably wouldn't find sweets like this on the battlefield. You know what? This is super delicious. I'll try it first. She took a big bite. Savoring the taste, Sayla stared at her lips, slightly moving as she chewed. Tia suddenly shivered. Salis, worried, thought there might be something wrong with the food. But then he saw her lift her flushed face. This really is super delicious. This is the first time in my life I've had such delicious chocolate. She offered the remaining half to Salis. Try some. But Salis didn't seem to hear anything. All he could hear was the frantic beating of his own heart, caused by Tia's nearness. Salis didn't have a sweet tooth, but if it was from Tia, he would eat it all. Because when he did, Tia would smile. And it was her smile he loved. Salis stared blankly ahead, unresponsive to the offered chocolate. The treat seemed strange to him, even though the chocolate seemed to tempt him, whispering, eat me, eat me. He still tilted his head in confusion. Then the administrator spoke up, I made plenty more. There's no need for you two to share, just one. Tia's mind was already filled with a dazzling array of desserts. This table held nearly a month's worth of her family's living expenses. Indulging in desires with someone else's money. That felt amazing. It was a shame Salis seemed to feel nothing. Tia's solidified blood soil urged her, don't say anything more. She guessed Salis was like this because he'd never had sweets before. So, try quickly. Salis hesitantly reached out. The soft texture made him instantly recoil. He looked at Tia, panicked. It's okay. Chocolate melts easily. That's why it's like this. You can just eat the chocolate on your hand. Or like this. She picked up a piece of toasted bread. Dip it in the sweet chocolate sauce. That's also delicious. Salis looked at her with disbelief, his ears drooping. Tia urged him again, eat it quickly, but he still looked bewildered. Honestly, Salis looked cute like this, like a completely domesticated puppy, but she was losing her patience. Take a bite. Salis pulled out the fork. Obediently, he chewed slowly. Tia stared intently at him, but his expression didn't change. You don't like it. If you don't like it, you can spit it out. To Salis, the taste was strange. It made his teeth ache and his hands and feet itch. It was like when she saw him reach out to her during training. He always held strange and unfamiliar things. Warm light, useless objects, or odd food. And these were all things he had never encountered in his training. Watching him swallow the food, Tia happily recommended other sweets. This is also delicious, and this, and this that you should try them too. Salis didn't understand the difference between delicious and good. But he knew one thing. If it was from Tia, he would accept it all, because then she would smile. His eyelids and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. His breathing became irregular. This strange, unfamiliar feeling made him unconsciously touch his own lips. Mr. Salis, did you just smile? Eating sweets makes people happy. This is sweetness. Like a large cat, he licked the chocolate from his hand, savoring the sweetness Tia had described. Soon, the administrator settled in, and they, in turn, became accustomed to his presence. Every day was a feast for the eyes and the palate. His appetite increases dramatically whenever he sees the chef. Please blame the two of you. But there's another guest today. Rowan suddenly appears from out of nowhere. Good afternoon. Lord Byron, when did you arrive? I've been here for a while. It's just a shame you only have eyes for the chef. Hell, why didn't you tell me? Salis turns his head. Looks like this guy is jealous again. Since you've adapted to life here, it's time to assign some more staff. Salis refuses. No. The rejected Rowan looks touched. Salis didn't flip the table and refuse me. Please don't send any more people. I don't like you, and I don't want you to come here anymore. Seeing Salis like this makes Rowan even happier. These two are talking at each other, completely ignoring the other. However, Tia is still a little worried. The reason the chef was able to adapt, that is because he's a quiet and reserved person with no curiosity. This kind of person is actually very accommodating. If they worked in the beauty industry, they would definitely have strong social skills. So she's worried about whether Salis can adapt. Mr. Rowan, shouldn't the others be just like the chef, very suited to working here? How is that possible? Although the candidates have been chosen, their performance is unknown. Worrying won't help. Just eat your meal. The next day, the person who made him tremble with fear arrived. When sharp scissors waved around Salus's head, Tia knew everything was going to be terrible. She underestimated Salus's possessiveness. He doesn't accept anyone getting too close to Tia. When the hairdresser's scissors flashed around Salus's head, Tia's heart almost leaped out of her chest. She grabbed the scissors at lightning speed. "Didn't I tell you not to use sharp objects? Our young master has bad memories associated with sharp things." "Oh dear, I forgot." She pulled out a pair of pink bunny scissors. "These are specially made for young masters. Completely harmless. Would you mind if I use these scissors, sir?" Salus, who had just been fiercely protective, dropped all his defenses the moment he saw the bunnies. Thankfully, he seems quite pleased with them. Tia breathed a sigh of relief. As long as Salus isn't afraid, it's fine. But what will he look like after his haircut? Salus has striking features. Just thinking about him all tidied up made her incredibly excited, but she still underestimated Salus's face. The joy of nurturing was fully realized at this moment. The hairdresser was so moved that she had tears in her eyes. "Priestess, did you see? I've created a style that even the gods would admire. If he needs another haircut, please let me do it. If another hairdresser does it, I'll die." Health is getting jealous again. "It's all right. Calm down." Salus obediently withdraws his killing intent. The hairdresser, unaware of her near-death experience, looks at him. "Sir, how do you like this hairstyle? Is there anything you'd like to change?" Salus turns to the mirror. He doesn't really care about his appearance. "I don't know. I don't want any more cut off. It seems you're satisfied. Because I heard you wanted a softer look. But this style is more sleek and sharp. I was worried you wouldn't like it." Tia suddenly remembers that he once filled out a questionnaire. He answered it randomly at the time. Because he's had a whisker removal procedure, he looks clean and neat. And his hair dye job is perfect too. She freezes. "What procedure? You've had that kind of procedure. We all had the whisker removal procedure. But I'm not sure about hair dyeing." The hairdresser picks up on her words. "Sir, have you been in the military?" No. He meant he had a lot of procedures done at once. She can't let her know that Salus is from the 8th unit. If she runs away or spreads the news after finding out, he'll be killed instantly. "But why do you think he's had a procedure?" "Because his hair is pure black. Normally, no matter how dark someone's hair is, it will reflect other colors in the light. But his hair is completely black even in sunlight." Wait, he once tried to find a spell to cast on Salus's head. But the book said, due to the head's incredibly complex and delicate structure, any spell cast on it would completely destroy the target's mind. He previously used divine power to examine him, but only touched the surface of his head. Maybe the spell was cast on his hair. But then again, typical hair dyeing procedures damage the scalp. But his hair is perfectly healthy. 5 hairs grow from each follicle. He'll probably never have to worry about hair loss in his life. Does divine power prevent hair loss too? If the gods knew about this, they'd probably work themselves to death straightening people's hair. Finally, the hairdresser decided. A stylist from America would trim Salus's hair. Can I take a day off next week? The second prince's birthday celebration is a week long. I like to go for a day. Sure, go ahead. The haircut will only take a day anyway. Because of the war, there haven't been any celebrations for years. But now, the first one isn't even for National Foundation Day, but the prince's birthday. It feels strange, and it's going to last a whole week. I've never been to a celebration. When I was little, my parents were too busy to take me. After entering the temple, I've been too busy with work. Going out for fun is unthinkable. I guess I'll just focus on work. But the others will probably take time off too. I should tell Lord Rowan in advance. Come to think of it, Salus has been meeting strangers lately. If everyone's off next week, he can relax for a few days too. She patted the puppy's head. You've been so patient these past few days. You've been a really good boy. Be just as well-behaved tomorrow during your skincare treatment. She thought that since Salus even tolerated getting his hair cut, which is the most likely to trigger him, things would be smoother from now on. But unexpectedly, the puppy absolutely refused to let anyone touch him. The puppy developed separation anxiety. Tia had initially let him cling to her for fear he'd cause trouble. But once Salus latched on, he wouldn't let go. The new beautician is named Snell. He's just as professional as the hairdresser, and he wasn't too surprised by Salus's unusual behavior. But the problem was the puppy. Just now, she had intended to make Salus act more like a young master. But as soon as he heard someone approaching outside, he reverted back to this state. She figured it was better to maintain the status quo than to watch him cause trouble. To the outside world, she'd just say he was a clingy young master. She had prepared the puppy well before the beautician arrived. A skincare specialist is coming today. He'll be touching various parts of your body to care for your skin. Although young Master Helt didn't fully understand, he said he'd tell her immediately if it was unpleasant. He treated this like a mission he had to carry out, just like in the army. Tia naively thought that since he had endured the haircut, he would certainly manage today as well. But a problem arose when the beautician offered to touch him. The puppy strongly resisted. He didn't want to be touched by anyone other than Tia. Snell didn't give up easily. I heard he doesn't like seeing people. Perhaps he could just pretend I'm air or a gust of wind. It had seemed like that. He couldn't hear the beautician's footsteps or anything. Could he be an assassin or something? If he were an assassin, young Master Helt would definitely smell the blood on him. She patted the puppy, signaling him to cooperate. Salis was reluctant, but he still listened to her. The beautician offered to look at the back of his hand. Tia was so nervous she didn't dare breathe. Her puppy training efforts of late were finally about to be put to the test. Salis raised his hand. Snell reached out at the same time. They were about to touch. The moment their hands made contact, Tia nearly burst into tears. Oh gods, I have no regrets in this life. Her days of hard work had finally paid off. The beautician very professionally soothed Salis. This was the first time the puppy had been touched by a stranger and remained calm. He soon suggested they begin the skincare treatment. Salis looked at her, waiting for her command. Up until now, she had always made decisions for Salis, although each time she would explain it to him and wait for him to understand. But this couldn't go on forever. After all, he was meant to become a young master. So, this time, she didn't answer, only encouraged him. It's up to you. Salis was shocked. His mind went blank, completely unsure of what to do. Fortunately, Snell was very professional. You don't have to answer me right away. I'll remain at the mansion. Just call me when you need me. Salis agreed, his eyes drifting towards Tia. If you don't mind too much, how about now? If you're only uneasy because you don't know what to do, I'll stay by your side. But if you really don't want to, but the next time is fine too. He knew she would stay with him. He looked at the beautician. I will have the skincare treatment. Snell, I need a little time to prepare. His actions were textbook perfect, just like a nobleman from a textbook. Your Holiness, you can stay with us too. Tia looked towards Salis. Salis responded as she had taught him. Although she was shaping him into a nobleman, she felt a strange emotion at this moment. No matter what, once she pushed Salis into that world, it would be over. Salis looked at Tia and asked with a smile, how does it feel to be looked after and served like this? I don't know yet. You'll probably understand after you experience it more. The most important thing is how you feel. If you're unhappy about anything, you must tell me directly. At that time, she didn't know that she would hear Salis repeat these words to her again and again in the future. And the so-called skincare treatment was completely different from what she had imagined. He was like a puppy reunited with its owner after a long absence, wagging its tail and about to pounce on her. Tia had barely approached before she was soaked by the water he splashed. When the beautician asked him if she should join them in the bathroom, he initially refused. As a priestess, it seemed unnecessary for her to follow him even there. Snell thought she was worried about Salis, but in reality, she was more worried that Salis would hurt Snell. If there's any problem, no matter how small, please call me immediately. After all, Salis might bite when he came into contact with water, but she couldn't tell Snell that directly. She paced back and forth outside the door like an ant on a hot pan. The slightest unusual sound made her heart pound. Wait, he didn't yell, but calmly said no. And Miss Snell didn't scream. She believed Salis must be all right. As long as he was still breathing, she could heal him. Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to help you take off your clothes. No, it seems you don't like others undressing you. Could you undress yourself and put on the bathrobe then? Good. He was still alive and well. Salis didn't speak. He must be doing as he was told. She was relieved. Our Salis is obediently listening to someone else for once. But the situation quickly took a turn for the worse. No, no, no. Tia was completely dumbfounded by these words. He seemed very agitated now. If he refused again, she would just go in. Unexpectedly, the beautician asked for help first. Fortunately, she wasn't hurt. Young master seems to dislike being touched even more than I imagined. Tia nodded. He really did dislike it. Could I borrow your hand? Of course. She stopped mid-sentence. What? The young master should like your hand. So, I want to borrow your hand to administer the treatment. Since I'm in charge of this, I have to make the young master's skin absolutely radiant. But he really can't accept me, so I have to ask for your help. Plus, your hands have healing powers, so maybe the effect will be even better. Why should he? After he showed the puppy how to bathe once, he learned how to do it himself. He hasn't bothered with him since. Why give him more work to do? The point isn't anything else. It's that with things like bathing, he'll gradually get used to it. It took me a long time to get him to relax. You can't say things like that. It would be a disaster if a client overheard. Of course, he's a nobleman after all. How can we make a nobleman adapt to us? Since you're from the temple, you might not understand this feeling, but I work in the service industry. The client's comfort and experience are as important as my own life. Tia hesitated. Of course, if you're not willing, it's okay to refuse. I could try to find someone else to help. Tia thought for a moment. He seems to have been frightened today as well. So you go and rest for now. We'll talk about it tomorrow. She needed to let Salis calm down first. When she entered the bathroom, she saw Salis looking wary. In the next second, his expression changed from deep resentment to bright sunshine. If he had a tail, it would probably be wagging furiously by now. It seems he really doesn't like this. She walked towards Salis. Wait, let's wash off the essential oils first and put on your bathrobe. Before she could finish speaking, Salis hugged her tightly. Her white dress became transparent after being soaked. She missed the best chance to dodge. Salis, she patted his shoulder lightly. You have to let go of me first so I can get out of here. He not only didn't react, but he clung to her even tighter. Was this revenge for making him do something he didn't like? Why do you hate doing these things so much? Salis's tone was stiff. Women. I'm a woman too. Do you not like her? Should I get someone else for you? Salis didn't answer. He changed the subject. Do you just not like people touching you? Salis nuzzled against her affectionately. I don't like it, but if you want to be a young master, you have to get used to these things. No. Although she said Salis's feelings were important, it wouldn't do for him to avoid everything he disliked. But making him train such a kind puppy also. Tia, whose feelings were gradually leaning towards Salis, completely overlooked one thing. That all of Salis's kindness and patience only existed because of her. Salis finally had his first skincare treatment, but something went wrong at the end. He caught the girl as she fell to the ground, but certain feelings like sprouting seeds broke through the soil. Just the night before, she and Salis had a long talk that lasted all night. You hate being touched, right? So is it okay if I touch you together with someone else? Because before, when you heard a sound you hated, you would endure it if I said it was okay. So if the beautician and I touch you together, you can endure it, right? Salis said he didn't know. Then let's try it tomorrow. It will definitely work. Compared to bathing him myself, holding his hand is nothing. He absolutely refused to work hard. God, please give me strength. Don't make me do extra work. She looked at the beautician who had just arrived. I'll be counting on you today, Snell. Snell was taken aback, as if sensing something. I'll work hard. A camaraderie between two overworked individuals was thus born. To make Salis feel safe, Snell specially prepared a smaller room, because he thought of Salis as a timid and introverted young woman. Watching the beautician enter childcare mode, Tia couldn't help but wonder what he was thinking. Salis is like this. Tia had to explain. Whenever a stranger touches him, his body tenses up. As long as I'm by his side, he'll be fine. Good idea. The more familiar a touch is, the more it helps. So can I start now? He nodded, holding Tia's hand. Salis's bathrobe was removed. Snell slowly reached out to him. The first essential oil treatment began. But before long, another incident occurred. Salis stood up from the bath. Even though the bathrobe didn't want to part with its owner, it slowly slid down. The moment it fell, he understood. As a top-tier, skillfully crafted product, conquered by a high-class salon, the meaning of his life. That was to be undressed. He envied those too, because he wanted to look too. But Tia was about to lose her mind. Everything had been going so smoothly. They had barely made a sound during the whole process. Until Snell asked Salis to lie down on the massage table, and he accidentally knocked over the essential oil bottle. Tia had meant to pick it up for him, but when Snell turned around, she saw his toned physique. She thought that a beautician, having seen countless bodies, wouldn't be fazed by this. But could Salis be treated like any other man? Although Snell maintained his professionalism, the biggest problem was his heartbeat. Salis, extremely sensitive to sound, became agitated. Snell instantly fell silent. Luckily, he was quick-witted enough to excuse himself to prepare something. Salis, calm down. If you're tired, rest for a while. Even though he didn't speak, Tia fully sensed his emotions. Snell reappeared. Since you're out, please lie down on the massage table. Although Salis tried to endure, that he was already very uncomfortable. The beautician's heartbeat, that the pungent smell of the essential oils, the surrounding humidity, all made him incredibly irritable. And Tia, too worried about him, tripped over a bottle at her feet. She stumbled forward, just as she fell into the bath. Salis turned around. With Snell's cry of surprise, they both fell to the floor. Tia, her eyes half open and filled with water, replied, I should be all right. The moment their eyes met, Salis's world suddenly became quiet. The annoying scent, the humid air, the stranger's voice, and the loud heartbeat of others. That all vanished in that instant. He could only feel Tia's heartbeat, her soft breathing. His narrowed vision could only see her eyes. It made him oblivious to everything around him. This was unusual for Salis. He abruptly sat up. Alarmed by his unusual state, Tia became anxious. Are you all right? Is the noise bothering you? She immediately used sacred power to soothe him. I'm fine. I just slipped. Nothing dangerous happened. Salis's racing heart slowly returned to normal under Tia's gentle words. Watching this scene, the beautician seemed to realize something. Are you all right? I should have picked up the bottle sooner. The first body treatment ended just like that. A few days later, the beautician had completely adapted to Salis. Whether Salis removed his bathrobe or walked around exposed, Snell remained unfazed. To adapt so quickly, he was indeed a professional. However, something bothered Tia. Snell had become very indifferent. Not long ago, he was the embodiment of kindness. From a certain point on, that kindness had disappeared. But this actually makes Salis more comfortable. That's a relief. But Salis is his beloved pet, so of course he wants everyone to like him. Because of this, he almost asked Snell not to dislike his puppy. But for a puppy, being ignored is more comfortable than being loved. So he decided not to say anything. But he wondered if he should ask Snell why he was acting that way. After all, ignoring someone could cause problems. That priestess. The beautician looked at the puppy with an emotionless gaze. It was clear he wanted to speak to him privately. Young Master Health, please go back to your room. The puppy looked at him pitifully. This is so difficult, but he still hardened his heart and pushed him out. Giving me that look won't work. I'll come find you soon, so go back and wait. He closed the door. You have something to say to me, don't you, priestess? You saw right through me. I knew you cared about me. Come, lie down. I'll give you a massage while we talk. As a priestess, I shouldn't have any preferences, but Snell's smooth talking was hard to resist. Then I'll leave it to you. As the beautician continued his complaints, Tia understood the reason for his indifference. One night, he went out to get a drink of water because he was thirsty. He ran into Salis. He fiercely snatched the glass and ordered him not to drink. He's done this to you too, hasn't he? He won't even let someone have a sip of water. It's outrageous. Under normal circumstances, that would certainly make someone angry. But who would have thought Salis did that because the noise was too loud? I also asked the others. The hairdresser said he wasn't watching where he was going on a walk and bumped into a tree. The young master glared at him with murderous intent. And the cook. The guards complained too, but Tia didn't feel bad at all. After all, the puppy hadn't caused any bloodshed. He had endured it all. Snell continued to complain. What good is being handsome? He's actually super rude. He actually treats the puppy like a person. That's so touching. Am I talking too much? Because you have to live with that rude young master, I thought I'd check on you. And vent a little. It's okay. It's perfectly fine to complain about this kind of thing between colleagues. Your facial skin is wonderful, and you're truly beautiful. It's a shame you can only wear the priestess uniform. Tia didn't take his words seriously. He's definitely on the front lines of customer service. He even made sure to flatter the customer at the end. However, she looked a little different than usual in the mirror. Absolutely radiant, right? She does look rather pretty. Their voices continued to drift from the room. Outside the door sat Salis, who should have left long ago. He gripped his arms. Just being separated by a wall made him feel lonely. But the puppy patiently waited for the girl. The puppy cried for the first time, but not from sadness, but because the sunlight was too bright. He didn't understand why Tia also seemed to shine with a radiance like the sun. He began to intensify his lessons on humans for the puppy. Humans are called humans because they speak human language. So you have to speak like a human. And the way you're speaking now is practically barking. Through the beautician, Tia realized that Salis had become notorious within a mansion. He was a picky, aggressive young man who didn't treat others like people. Although these words pleased him, he also knew how those who didn't understand the puppy would perceive him. So, he can't be introduced into society yet. Therefore, I've decided to start teaching him how to speak properly. Robin sent a large number of books. I selected a few from them. After all, I'm only a low-ranking priestess, so I don't understand the ways of the nobility. But I can still teach him how to speak. Let's start by learning vocabulary. Let's start with this book. Thankfully, Salis has always been very cooperative when it comes to learning. I'm very satisfied with this. I don't know if it's because we're sitting too close, but I can feel Salis's breath. It's making my face a little itchy. I started teaching Salis how to express himself correctly, but I didn't notice that Salis had become distracted. He started observing me, Tia, every movement I made, my tone of voice, and the constantly opening and closing adoration. His gaze was fixed on me, sky blue dazzling. He suddenly snapped back to attention. What's wrong, Salis? Do you not understand? Sky blue dazzling. Abnormal status. So, Salis interpreted dazzling as being injured. That's not what I meant. When your eyes see something bright, it's not that they hurt, but rather that it's too bright. How should I explain this? He's lying down with the book. Let's go experience it directly. The gardener just arrived. We can go take a look at the garden. The sky is very blue. The garden is meticulously maintained. I exclaimed, he's made this place so beautiful while I've been away. Let's familiarize ourselves with the names of these flowers while we're at it. A little further ahead, and we entered a corridor of rose vines. Salis was surrounded by roses. Salis stared intently at the blooming flowers. Butterflies danced among the blossoms. Birds pecked at seeds on the ground. Beautiful, right? Salis repeated after me, beautiful, right? Use the word beautiful when you want to say a flower looks nice. Sunlight filtered through the gaps in the vines, falling on us. Salis suddenly spoke. Flowers cannot last. Things that cannot walk and are not strong die easily. If they cannot survive, they cannot become strong. They cannot grow lush. This was his understanding of the world's operating principles. But here different. Flowers easily crushed. Birds free. Here vast and flat. He looked at the sky through the gaps in the leaves. His eyes slightly narrowed against the light. Yes, that dazzling. Like wind. Cool feeling in eyes. His pupils were tinged with the blue of the sky. Only then did I realize what he meant by dazzling. Oh, you're very sensitive. It's my fault for not thinking it through. Do your eyes hurt? Let me see. Caelus replied, no abnormality. But some kind of liquid flowed from his eyes. The liquid slid down his cheeks, reflected in the sunlight. His left pupil seemed to transform into a multicolored gemstone. I was momentarily stunned. We just stared at each other in silence. A sudden gust of wind sent flower petals scattering. The scent of roses intensified. The rustling of leaves filled the air. Salis suddenly spoke, dazzling like sky, dazzling, more than dumbbell, hurt or uncomfortable. Are you saying that looking at the ground is as dazzling as the sky? Is it because you've always fought at night that you can't adapt to the sunlight? Then let's go back quickly. I'll help you check your eyes. I anxiously pulled him northward at a brisk pace. I didn't know that the dazzling Salis spoke of wasn't the sun or the sky, but me. In his eyes, Tia was dazzling. After that, Salis's language skills improved rapidly, but in a strange direction. The obedient Salis suddenly entered a rebellious phase. He stubbornly started using Tia to describe everything he liked. Salis's way of expressing emotions is simple, good or bad, but not anymore. Chocolate is sweet as the scent behind Tia's ears. Wait, why did you smell behind my ears? I just did. Even if you could, you shouldn't. No, puppy, no. What does Tia know? I just like the smell. Come to think of it, that was supposed to be a compliment. Why do I feel ignored? Tia attributed Salis's reaction to the fact that he was just learning to speak, so he naturally thought of someone close to him. She held on to this thought for a few days. He became an enhanced adjective. Cheesecake, as sweet as the scent Tia's body gives off. This embarrassing and maddening description. Where did he even learn that? But whether she scolded him or coaxed him, the result was the same. And because of this, he started to lose interest in food. And this is cheesecake that's more expensive than his weekly allowance, ruining everyone else's appetite while enjoying it himself. Hell, try this dish. Because he was so busy before, he never had the chance to make the food he wanted. Now that he's here, he's begun to ignite his culinary creativity. Salis watched for a moment, then neatly cut off a piece and popped it into his mouth. Tell me, what's a new adjective for this? Salis fell silent. He thought hard. Suddenly, inspiration struck. It tastes like fermented poop. Tia was dumbfounded. Have you eaten poop? No, you can't just randomly judge food. Think about it carefully before you speak. Salis was adamant. It tastes like fermented poop. You can't say food tastes like poop. You've never eaten it. In order to track our targets, we record the food they eat and the date. Stop, stop, stop. Please stop talking. Tia was on the verge of a breakdown. How could they be so cruel to a child from the 8th unit? He even has pictures in his head. All right, fine. Since he's tasted it, maybe he's right. I'll try it too. It smells sweet. It should taste good. What a delicacy. Honestly, it's delicious. Salis pouted. He grabbed Tia's wrist. I don't understand the taste, but I respect that you like to eat poop. Tia was moved to tears. Oh my goodness. Our little puppy has even learned the words preference and respect. But it really doesn't taste like poop. But taste is subjective. Maybe there's something wrong with your sense of taste. Let's have someone else try it. The results of the experiment were identical. The beautician loved it. The hairdresser, however, was disgusted and kept gagging. Is this made from scavenged food? What does it even taste like? Salis leaned closer. It's the taste of fermented poop. That's it exactly. I've never eaten it, but it feels like that's the taste. Even if you don't like it, you can't say that. You'll hurt the chef's feelings. Because the hairdresser agreed with Salis, they found themselves on the same side for the first time. Snell was completely bewildered. Just as they were puzzling over this, the chef gave them the answer. There's an ingredient here called lin jiao. People who like it think it has the aroma of cheese and mushrooms. To those who don't like it, it tastes like fermented poop. Seems like he's having fun. I knew it. Young master, your assessment was spot on. The good news is, in his mind, Salis went from being an ill-mannered young master to an honest and straightforward one. Wait, if his assessment was correct, Snell. Does the back of my ears smell like cheesecake? The beautician froze. What? The two fell into a deathly silence. Soon after, they had their first long vacation. Salis had been studying diligently, so the break would allow him to rest properly. He's also a little tired. He originally wanted to enjoy this vacation. Tia looked at the letter in her hand. She really didn't want to go. The girl and the puppy were facing their first separation. Salis, although not acting out dramatically, was expressing his unhappiness with his whole body. Tia held Salis's hand. I told you why I have to leave. To be with me, right? Salis knew. I don't want you to go either. But as a person, there are things you have to do even if you don't want to. Up until now, whether you liked it or not, you did what I told you. But now, you have things you like and dislike. Sometimes, for the sake of the things you love, you have to endure doing things you hate. Salis looked away. I hate this training, but I still have to do it. She had received a summons from the temple. But actually, Tia didn't want to leave either. He was clearly doing so well. Why were they summoning her? But no matter how much she didn't want to, she couldn't change anything. But more than leaving this comfortable place, she was worried about Salis being left alone. After repeatedly telling him not to leave the room and entrusting the assassins to the guards, Tia said goodbye to him. From yesterday to this morning, she had been trying to persuade Salis. His resistance was alarmingly strong, which made her vaguely uneasy. The guards had also canceled their leave because of this. The assassins targeting Salis were more manageable than expected, but the guards would usually deal with them at the entrance. Her job during this time was to appease Salis and calm him down. But no matter how worried she was, they would eventually have to part ways. After all, she was a servant of God, and Salis would become a young nobleman. Their lives were never meant to intersect, so it was best for him to prepare for her departure now. The reason the high priest summoned her was simple. He wanted to inquire about her progress in taming the mad dog. He was mainly afraid that she would break down one day from the stress, or suddenly run away. Have you been receiving a lot of donations lately? Who sent them? The third prince. The high priest had been tricked. He thought it was just simple support. It seems the sponsorship is quite generous. That's why he's so afraid of his cash cow running away. He probably didn't know about Salis's improving condition, meaning he knowingly sent her on this long-term mission with that rumored killing machine. In that case, let's add a little more to your compensation. The high priest readily agreed. Tia took the opportunity to request access to the Curse Arts Hall. She used the curse marks on Salis as a reason, saying she wanted to investigate. Curse arts didn't require divine power, so the temple would occasionally send priests without divine power to study them. But only very few because if ordinary people learn them and misuse them, the temple wouldn't be able to profit from its divine power monopoly. So the high priest was 1,000 times unwilling. If it's too much trouble, I can bring him to the temple. At the mention of bringing the mad dog over, the high priest instantly caved. No, not at all. You can look into it however you like. Actually, she quite wanted to bring Salus along, to let everyone know her puppy wouldn't bite without reason. Tia thought optimistically, I'll just show them off later. It'll definitely surprise everyone. Tia hadn't realized that her approach, which used to be about avoiding all trouble, had become centered around Salus. She was willing to threaten the high priest if it meant healing him. And so, led by the administrator of the Curse Arts Hall, she arrived at the temple's most confidential library. It took the girl a full 20 years to finally accept that her family didn't love her. A biased mother, an absurd husband, and an incompetent commander taking out his anger on her. She had healed countless people with her divine power, yet she couldn't heal her own heart. Tia didn't find any books about memory recovery in the Curse Arts Hall, but since she was already there, she secretly memorized all the profitable curse arts. A few hours later, she left, her purse full of money and her head full of curse art knowledge. Satisfied, she prepared to return. The temple was still very busy. If it weren't for taking care of Salus, she would probably be up late preparing for the festival too. She started to miss her puppy. A few girls running by cheerfully reminded her of the past. So, she changed her original plan. Coachman, could you please go to 3rd Street? It's the liveliest place in the country and the most suitable place for a festival. On the way out of the city, past 3rd Street, is my home. Come to the Denon Bureau's office. Although a noble, her family was actually very poor. One could even say destitute. Mother, I'm home. The woman put down her work and ran out to greet Tia. Is our family's priestess doing well? Just the same as always. So, you don't have to go to the front lines anymore. After all, the war is over. That's good. Health and safety are the most important. If your father were as capable as you, he could have been sent to the front lines to make a name for himself. Her mother said this because their family wasn't originally noble. Her great-grandfather had earned the title of Baron for discovering someone poisoning the alarm bell. From the beginning, their family lacked both ability and background. They only had the title. As nobles, if they didn't achieve anything, their title would be revoked by the 5th generation. However, if someone in the family distinguished themselves in battle, the title would be retained. Although her mother told her that health and safety were most important, her words held a hint of regret. Tia understood what her mother longed for. Mother, even though the war is over, I'll still have many opportunities to distinguish myself. So, there should still be a way. That's good. But isn't it the point of being a noble to not have to do anything? Unlike us, who have to work so hard. Both she and her mother were nobles, yet they worked every day. Her father and brother, on the other hand, flaunted their status. She was used to hiding her true feelings and only telling her mother good news. Mother, I was in charge of a rather difficult task this time, so I earn a lot of money. My goodness, so much money. Her mother only smiled genuinely at her when she gave her what she wanted, and Tia was used to doing everything she could for that smile. I'll work even harder in the future, but this is money I earned by risking my life. You worked so hard. It's perfect timing. Your brother is upset because he doesn't have a glass pen. He joined a poetry recitation group, and he's the only one using a quill. Glass pens are so expensive, and he, a noble, can't afford one. Does that make any sense? Now we finally have the money to buy one. Her mother's words pierced her heart like needles. Mother, that's money I earn with my life. You're going to use it to buy a pen for my brother. Yes, because it's precious. It should be used to buy something precious, right? Trading my life for my brother's pride. That's wonderful. After all, his self-esteem is more valuable than my life. How can you talk like that? You're a priestess. How hard can it be? You just have to dress up nicely, and making money is easy, isn't it? Tia didn't want to stay a second longer. You're right, but I have to go now. Even then, her mother didn't notice her daughter's change in mood. Your brother will be back soon. Let's have dinner together. As she opened the door, her brother was standing right there. She politely greeted him. It's been a while. He responded impatiently, you're so ill-mannered. Calling me brother like some commoner. You should observe noble etiquette. All right, young Master Braden. She didn't linger. Her mother yelled after her, Tia, how can you be so rude to your brother? She ignored her and told the coachman to leave immediately. This filthy, disgusting family. She would never return. Even so, she knew she definitely would, just like she always had. She hated her family. She also hated herself for never being able to let go. Tia got out of the carriage early. She walked slowly forward. Straight ahead was Salus's mansion. The reason she got off early was to vent these emotions. She would cry her heart out before reaching the entrance. It was fine. Her sadness was only this much. She'd go back and take a hot bath to relax. Then, she would put all of this behind her. After returning, she would become Priestess Tia again. After all, a priestess had no family and no status. Using God's love to replace a mother's love, she could live well. From now on, there would be no more cleaning up her brother's messes for the rest of her life. The pressure of the Baron's daughter, who was saddened by this. The reason she hadn't stopped crying was because the mansion was still far away. So she hadn't expected Salus to suddenly appear in front of her. She looked up in surprise. Salus was looking at her. Tia was stunned. Why was he here? Salus, why are you here? Did something happen? I heard noise. I'm sorry. Was my crying too loud? Did I disturb you? Yes, she was an adult now. There was no time to be sentimental. Crying like this was really unbecoming. But thankfully, she ran into him. Her tears stopped instantly. No, it wasn't because it was noisy that I came out. It was because of Tia's crying. You're saying you came out because of my crying? Yes. Why? Is it annoying? Salus shook his head. Is it irritating? No, what is it then? Were you startled? This time, Salus didn't shake his head. He repeated Tia's words. The girl hurriedly explained, nothing happened here. You don't have to worry. It wasn't because I was startled by your crying. So Salus had come because he was worried about her. Tia lowered her head. She realized then that she had become accustomed to being blamed and taking the fault upon herself first. Even her mother often scolded her. Why do you always cry over such small things? Her tears started to well up again. The girl covered her face and backed away. Oh, really? I'm sorry. I can't stop right now. You go back first. I'll go back after I calm down. Instead of leaving, Salus stepped forward and suddenly embraced her. He murmured something. Tia's heart was pounding. It was a state of excitement. Salus realized this description seemed wrong. He spoke again. It's okay. You're safe here. These were words Tia often said to soothe Salus when he was in a state of excitement. He was very strong and often broke things because he couldn't control himself. But this embrace was gentle and warm. So warm that she didn't want to continue. Enduring the Waichu. They say loving someone is like raising a flower. Salus was the flower Tia had raised. And this saying also held true for Salus. Embracing the girl was both Salus and his younger self. He sought love because of the girl's crying, and he treated her with the same gentleness he had received from her. A warm embrace, comforting words, and quiet companionship. However long she cried, Salus waited for her, until Tia pushed him away. I'm okay now. Her swollen eyes seemed unconvincing. She emphasized again, feeling guilty. I'm really okay now. Go back, or you'll miss dinner. Tia's voice was still thick with nasal congestion. Halt! You're very considerate. Salus tilted his head. He didn't understand what considerate meant. It's too complicated to explain, and he's not in the mood right now. It just means he's being good. Salus relies on him a lot now, but someday he'll be someone others can rely on too. Just like today. Don't be an inconsiderate young master, Salus. Be a kind and thoughtful one. Become someone who radiates warmth like the sun. Since the staff are on holiday, only the two of them and the guards are left in the mansion. One peculiar downside of this quiet is that even the sound of insects hitting the window is clearly audible. Looks like some flies got in. The puppy says there are 3. Seeing Tia's questioning look, he starts reporting their locations. 1 each in the blue and yellow rooms. Those rooms are at the end of the hallway. You can even hear them from here. Haven't your senses dulled? They haven't. He eliminates one as he speaks. Then how do you stand it? Does my heartbeat bother you? Salus's expression is calm. It's fine. The two stare blankly at each other until the buzzing of the mortal flies approaches again. It seems the other two have found each other and are headed this way together. The puppy casually throws a cushion, hitting them precisely. His senses definitely haven't dulled. That's right. Although he feels like time has slowed due to being busy, it's only been a month or 2. At Salus's current rate, things might end sooner than expected. An explosion. He turns to the window. The sound of a salute cannon. It's to celebrate the second prince's birthday. His young master held all right. The puppy looks unconcerned. Is it a delayed reaction? Or has his hearing gone numb? Neither. He really isn't affected. It's probably similar to the explosions on the battlefield. Tell me if you're uncomfortable. The puppy indicates he's perfectly fine. As long as Tia is with him, everything is alright. Really, she knows she's Salus's calming influence, but she didn't expect it to be this effective. As a priestess, she needs to learn to let go when a patient is healing. By the way, you haven't felt agitated or anxious lately. Even without me, you can live like a normal person now, right? What does living like a normal person mean? It means not killing people because they're noisy, answering questions calmly, and not running around screaming in quiet places. The puppy's answer is resolute. Impossible. Only with Tia by my side. All right, I was just wondering if you could do those things. She thought it was over for a moment there. It made her nervous. No, what was she nervous about? She'll get a nice promotion and raise when she goes back. Wait, she looks at Salus again. As long as I'm here, you can endure anything, right? That should be the case. A celebratory day like today is perfect for practicing socializing. Let's go to the celebration today. You've only read about it in books, so you don't really know, do you? There will be a lot of people there, and it will be very loud. Hearing loud, the puppy's interest wanes. But that kind of setting is similar to the gatherings you'll have to attend as a young master. So let's go and see. Think of it as practice. After all, I probably won't be by your side when you attend gatherings in the future. The puppy looks shocked. Tia not with me. That should be the case. I'm a priestess, after all. Attending those would be a bit strange, and I wanted you to experience the festival so you could have some good memories. You'll have a lot to do as a nobleman in the future. I imagine you'll have a lot of worries too. It will be hard to relax and enjoy life then. So let's make some good memories together. I hope they'll make you happy when things get tough later on. A faint blush rises in Salus's cheeks. He nods, but in reality, he only saw her smile and didn't hear a word she said. The tailor-made clothes finally came in handy. The first outfit was too dashing. I'd be dragged off to a royal banquet if I wore that. The second one wasn't bad either, but people would think war was about to break out again. The all-black one makes him look even more distinguished. No, that won't do either. It might cause a commotion and put him in danger. He finally chose a simple shirt. It's better to keep a low profile at the festival. Even in such simple clothes, my puppy still looks handsome. All right, I'll get ready too. Beside my priestly insignia, I can't even remember the last time I wore a normal dress. This should do. And is this how you wear a headband? The tailor made this for me from leftover fabric. He gave it to me. Knock knock, speak of the devil. Salus, you're just in time. Kumain. As soon as I opened the door, I saw Tia looking different than usual. She lifted her skirt and turned to face him. Salus, how do I look? Although I knew my puppy couldn't distinguish between beauty and ugliness, I still wanted to ask. Salus didn't answer immediately. Instead, he stepped up and walked towards me. Then he reached out and touched my headband. My puppy is affectionate and obedient, but extremely possessive. Aside from Tia, Salus wants nothing. So naturally, in his eyes, I am incomparably beautiful, like a flower in full bloom. I froze. What? My puppy began to explain seriously. Although flower buds are also beautiful, the process of blooming is magical. They become even more beautiful after they bloom. Is he talking about me? I know that if I take good care of myself, I'm no worse than others. But I'm not as beautiful as a blooming flower. Thank you. But you don't have to praise me so extravagantly. I'm not exaggerating. Didn't you tell me to honestly express my feelings? I remembered teaching Salus to express his thoughts from books. He really is a good learner. In my eyes, you are as beautiful as a flower. Well, I can't deny that I'm happy to be praised like this. At this moment, I could almost see Salus's future. After he enters society, he'll probably become a man burdened with sin. My apologies to the future young ladies. It's all my fault for raising this child too perfectly. I snap back to reality. Shall we go then? When I put on my priestly insignia, I am a servant of God. Even though my heart no longer carries that mission, I can't completely ignore the expectations of those around me. So I will disguise myself. And when I wear casual clothes and go home on holiday, I should feel comfortable, right? The answer is absolutely not, because I'm only seen by my family as a tool to satisfy their desires and make money. But now, I'm neither a priestess nor Baron Brandon's daughter. This feeling is incredibly liberating, right? We need to get Lord Rohan's permission to leave. Never mind, let's just go. As long as nothing goes wrong, it'll be fine. After all, I've accomplished so much. And Salus isn't a prisoner. He's just under strict protection. How many people are watching Salus's mansion? Probably around 30. Besides them, there are 6 guards at the back and entrance of the mansion. That's a lot more than I thought. My puppy tilted his head. Do we need to avoid them? I was pleasantly surprised. Can you do that? In response, my puppy swept me up into a princess carry. Operation Escape is a go. I wonder if this is okay. but in just a moment, we were out of their surveillance range. I hugged my puppy and ruffled his thick, soft hair. You're amazing. You got me out safely without killing anyone. Salis reminded me, you're wasting time. I stroked his luxurious hair. It's all right, we have plenty of time. We just need to be back before nightfall. We're still quite far from the capital, so we need to take a carriage. Salis, did you used to sleep when you rode in carriages? Yes, they would have put me into a deep sleep or a state of unconsciousness beforehand. You might get carsick. If you feel any discomfort, tell me. Soon they arrived at the passenger station. Tia pulled on Salis's hand. Hurry, let's go. Tia hadn't expected this at all. She had thought their frequent, joyful outings would continue without a hitch, but unexpected things had happened from the very beginning. Salis wasn't well. From the moment the carriage started moving, he'd been constantly breaking out in a cold sweat. He should have been able to control his sensitive sensory reactions, and there weren't any unbearable stimuli present now. But the sound of hooves, the horses panting and snorting, the turning of the wheels, and the creaking of the carriage were causing his body to react abnormally. His senses were telling him there was danger, but he didn't know what kind. Choking smoke, people's screams, broken bodies, the smell of burning flesh, flowing blood. He couldn't control himself. Tia cupped his face, calling his name over and over. Salis. Salis, are you all right? Are you more awake now? He knew none of it was real. Only these warm hands were real. But he couldn't break free, couldn't escape the restraints. What's wrong? Are you not used to riding in carriages? After saying this, Tia yelled out the window to stop the carriage. Even after they got out, Salis's body was still trembling. Tia whispered, he's all right now. The next moment, she hugged him tightly. She could feel Salis's fear. He mumbled, no, I can't. A voice echoed in his mind, I can't be broken. Tia continued to pat his back, whispering comforting words. She didn't know what kind of terror Salis was struggling with, but she had brought him away, so she would take responsibility for him. Tia desperately released her divine power. Salis, please, come back to your senses. He placed Tia's hand on his head, asking her to continue stroking him. Unbeknownst to her, beneath this docile and obedient appearance was a man-made killing machine. Salis had no memories of his past, other than being brainwashed and controlled. Perhaps his past experiences were too painful, and his body, as a protective mechanism, had made him forget everything. The beautiful little boy was a hot commodity in the black market. Whether noble women or lords, everyone always had a soft spot for beautiful children. The traffickers forced a potion down his throat, preparing to sell this newly acquired young master for a good price. He lost almost all of his memories. He only vaguely remembered his name was Salis. Tia's urgent voice reached his ears. This isn't a battlefield. Everything around you is safe. When he looked up, Tia was also looking at him. Are you back with me? Tears welled up in her eyes. He blinked, and tears rolled down his cheeks. The chaotic sounds around him faded. It was as if they were the only two people left in the world. Tia breathed a sigh of relief. Are you all right now? He didn't answer, because the moment Tia's hand left his, a part of his heart felt empty. He buried his face in her hands again. What's wrong? Are you still feeling unwell? Tia's touch filled the emptiness in his heart once more. Tia's eyes were red, but her voice was full of concern. Salis held her hand to his face, gently rubbing his cheek against her palm, softly murmuring her name. I'm here. Are you okay now? Although he still seemed a little dazed, he nodded. But it wasn't enough. He placed Tia's hand back on his head, his whole body radiating the message. Touch me. Keep touching me. You're all right now. Why do you still need me to do that? He stared at her intently until Tia, unable to withstand his gaze, gave in. Honestly, isn't me touching you enough? Helt was dissatisfied. He felt Salis was being dismissive. What now? I touched you, didn't I? I still want that sparkly thing. It's not something you could just cry about whenever you want. Well, just don't do it then. I mean, people can't just cry on demand. Salis tilted his head. Can't we just do it on demand now? The beastmen are about to explode. Even our puppy knows how to talk nonsense now. Seems like you're really all right now. Let's go. You might feel sick again if we continue in the carriage. Let's walk. We'll get there faster if we do. Suddenly, Tia swayed to the side. Salis, quick as a flash, caught her. She used too much divine power. Can't you walk? My head is spinning. I'm afraid I need a moment before I can walk. Salis stared intently at her. In the blink of an eye, she was lifted into the air. I'll just carry you. Tia cried out in despair. You can't. You have to at least consider my dignity. Salis blinked. What's dignity? This is the most efficient way to carry luggage. Tia insisted. Treat me like a person. Tia mentally listed options. Option 1, fall flat on my face. I'm not a child. This is too much. Option 2, she imagined the position. Being carried like this is a little embarrassing. Option 3 is even more ridiculous. Salis looked confused, as if she was being overly picky. Hey, Salis, you're gonna get scolded by me. Seeing his hesitation, Tia realized, entrusting her back to someone makes you uneasy, doesn't it? Unexpectedly, Salis turned around. If it's you, I can accept it. Tia was a little stunned. Before, he had to risk his life just to touch her back. Should she be happy about this special treatment? That is good. Helt. Your back is broad, isn't it? But you can't just offer it to anyone. Only someone very special to you can. No, you absolutely cannot offer it to anyone in the future, because you're the young master. Today is a special circumstance. They arrived earlier than expected. But Tia was completely unprepared for the fact that she and Salis would become the subject of everyone's attention. Don't be shy, everyone. If this bashful couple becomes official today, everyone present will enjoy a half-price discount. At this moment, she felt like a cooked shrimp, helpless on Salis's back. Upon learning they could buy treats at a discount, Salis's first thought was how to buy Tia. Tia, however, upon seeing the second prince, realized a secret she absolutely couldn't reveal. Thanks to the dessert vendor's kind words, they managed to buy their snacks. They savored their treats in a corner. Tia finally regained her strength. Is this to your liking? Salis nodded. It's very sweet. It's called lascious. It's a treat you can only eat on special occasions. But it's too sweet and unhealthy. It's different from the healthy meals we usually eat. Does Tia like it? Swallowing the cream in her mouth, Tia replied, actually, this is my first time having it, because I was busy when I was younger. I guess this is experiencing adult luxury. Because it's so sweet, one bite can be addictive, so parents usually don't buy it for their children. Although as the young master, you don't need to know these things. It doesn't hurt to know more. Salis nodded. That's right. More experience means a better chance of winning. Wait, did you finish it all? Ever since trying the chocolate, Salis seemed to have developed a love for sweets. He held up his empty container. Do you want some? Tia didn't take it, but instead grabbed his wrist. His tall frame leaned down towards her. She bit directly from his hand. Help! There are so many people on the street. You can't. Salis licked the cream from his lips and looked at her quizzically. Tia was defeated. Facing that expression, she couldn't bring herself to scold him. Soon his hands were empty. Salis covered his cheeks, chewing continuously. Seeing his good appetite ignited Tia's fighting spirit. She wanted to take Salis all over this place to eat. Let's try the kebabs over there first, and the strawberry juice next to it. Help watch Tia's back, obediently following her forward. Wait, when are you going to spit out the wrapper? However, soon both of them were stuffed, their faces shiny with oil. Food he wouldn't have dared to dream of as a child. He ate it all today. Money is such a good thing. Salis suddenly perked up, thinking about money. Don't you know what money is? Should she say he didn't know money, this rich young master's lifeblood? Or should she tell him this wouldn't do? Salis, give me your hand. No, not like that. Palm up. This is money. 100 copper coins equal 1 silver coin, and 10 silver coins equal 1 gold coin. Salis held the coins like he'd discovered a new continent. According to the prices marked by the shopkeepers, you pay and you get what you want. This process is called buying. Salis's eyes sparkled. He wagged his tail frantically. Can I buy Tia too? No. Although there are people for sale, that's not buying with money. Then how can I get Tia? I'm a priestess. My life is dedicated to God, so I can't just give myself away. Then can I ask God for Tia? That probably won't work either. Most importantly, you don't have that much money. Salis's tail drooped. He really didn't have any money. Tia felt strange. You fought so many battles, but you don't have any money. It seems I'll have to ask Lord Robin later. Since we're talking about this, I'll teach you how to spend money. Although money can't buy me, it could buy everything sold here. Let's go into a shop and find something you want to buy. Suddenly, a commotion arose from the crowd. Right, I heard the coachman say earlier that the second prince will be participating in the games tonight. As the lively music started, the crowd began to cheer. The second prince's army is participating in the games this time. I heard that in this war. That it was the second prince's army that breached the Sobolian royal capital. Wasn't it the 8th unit that opened the way? Now's not the time to talk about that. Look, the second prince is here. Tia's eyes widened. The moment she saw his face, she felt like she discovered Pandora's box. This box must never be opened. She couldn't describe the feeling in words. Even if she could describe it, she had to remain silent. But he looks so much like the third prince. Since the crown prince hasn't been appointed yet, is the second prince showing off his achievements? If he becomes the crown prince, I'm afraid the third prince and the royal consort won't have an easy life. Well, that's their life, so they'll figure it out. She suddenly became curious. Salis, have you thought about what kind of life you want? To become a young master. No, I'm not asking what you have to do, but what you want to do. Tia suddenly stopped, a hint of tenderness in her voice. Once you become a young master, we'll have to part ways. So think about your own life too. How about this? He smeared rouge on Tia's lips. The sensation on the corner of her mouth and the quickening of her heartbeat. That made Tia slowly realize something. She might have feelings for Salis. After years of navigating society, she developed a survival method. Don't think about complicated things. Even if she saw something, she pretended not to. Even if she heard something, she pretended not to. This way, she could avoid most of society's ugliness. The less you know, the easier life is. But now, she was teaching this man how to think. Was this really right? He hoped Salis could have things he liked, no longer be manipulated, no longer sacrifice himself for others, and live as he pleased. But they lived in different worlds after all. What did any of this have to do with him? Salis lowered his head, like a puppy about to be abandoned by its owner. Are you abandoning me? Tia felt terrible. You saying it like that makes me sound like a bad person. The puppy mumbled dejectedly to himself. Tia abandoned me. No, where did you learn to talk like that? She felt like a bystander who had suddenly appeared. Let me explain what abandonment means. I was only entrusted to take care of you. But from a dog's perspective, saying goodbye and being abandoned meant the same thing. Salis, if you want to become a young master and live a wonderful life, you have to leave me. The puppy refused. Even if I become a young master, I want to live with you. Tia's eyes widened. Did I agree to that? Help blurted out his inner thoughts. A terrifying pressure descended. Do you mean you don't want us to break up? You won't live with me. Because he had been so obedient lately, Tia had momentarily forgotten he was from the 8th unit. He quickly backed down. It's not that I don't want to be with you. It's that I can't live with you. So, even if you wanted to live with me, you couldn't, right? Yes, you're so smart. After all, I'm a divine officer now, and divine officers should live in the temple. Then I'll become a divine officer too. No, you don't have to go that far. Think about it carefully. Salis is a divine officer. It doesn't sound so bad. No, now's not the time to fantasize. No. Do you know how busy divine officers are? Even if you become one, we'll be too busy to see each other. So don't become a divine officer. But if I don't become a divine officer, how will I earn money to support myself? Health, money isn't everything, but without money, you can't do anything. Of course, we have enough money to have fun now. You don't feel the anxiety yet, but when your money runs out, you'll understand why you need money. So let's keep spending. Not long after, Tia was like a wrung-out sponge, while Salis was the complete opposite. He'd spent all his money, and it was all spent on things for him. To the puppy, every store was the same. He only paid attention to what was suitable for Tia and always came up with flowery words to describe her. The turning point came in a cosmetic store. The clerk recommended a new rouge. Seeing Salis's confusion, the clerk began to explain. Are you choosing a gift for your girlfriend? Rouge is applied to the lips to make them more beautiful. Like this, you dip your finger in and apply it to the lips. You can try it. The puppy dipped his finger in the rouge as instructed, and the exhausted Tia, completely unguarded, had her lips touched by him. With just a light touch, her lips were stained the color of petals. The puppy described his feelings. It's like a crushed flower, sweet and soft. I want to keep touching it. The clerk, covering her flushed face, peeked through her fingers. Our rouge is really great. Even after they left the store, Tia hadn't recovered from the scene. Well, he doesn't understand and doesn't know how to spend money. It's natural for him to make mistakes and be wasteful. Health, now that all the money is gone, how do you feel? Didn't it disappear inexplicably? And you bought all sorts of useless things. You didn't buy anything for yourself. They're not useless things. Those are the things I wanted to buy. The puppy's tone was serious. They're useful things that make me happy. He took out the lace handkerchief he just bought. Seeing you wear this makes me happy. I want to keep seeing it, so I bought it. Tia didn't look at him. She desperately tried to control herself. Don't look up. If I meet his eyes now, that everything might be irreversible. When Salis learned that marriage meant being together forever, Tia's first thought was it's over. It wasn't just that Salis had an unusual attachment to her, but that she was starting to feel something too. Maybe it feels sweet now. Because for Salis, he can't live without me. No matter what, I'm the most important to him. But if he meets more people in the future, will it still be the same? If I completely give my heart to him, I'll be the one hurt in the end. So I have to stay clear-headed. But I can't be cruel to someone who sees me as their whole world. Tia laughed self-deprecatingly. If only I could control my heart as I pleased. Since I don't know how to completely sever these feelings, I should at least try not to make things too awkward. Just as I thought, you really do learn quickly. Although I look beautiful no matter what. She couldn't just leave now. She could only try to adjust her mindset, hoping not to get hurt too badly later. Salis started showing off his spoils. If only he can look back on this moment with a smile and think, that was truly happy, then it'll be enough. By the time Tia fully regained her composure, Salis had already lifted her foot to put on a new shoe for her. He had just learned it from the shopkeeper. Kneeling to put on a lady's shoes is also a form of etiquette. While that's true, you really don't have to do this. Also, when did you even take my shoes off? Miss Tia, your feet look like sweet marshmallows right now. This is so embarrassing I could die. What are you even saying? After some struggling, even without looking in a mirror, Tia felt like she could see an outrageously dressed lunatic. But he looked so happy. She felt too embarrassed to say anything. Besides, when else would she have the chance to dress up like this, other than for a celebration? She might as well enjoy it. Cheerful music started playing. The musicians had arrived. Seeing Salis's confused expression, she explained, musicians are people who play music with instruments. On days worth celebrating, people express their joy with music and dance. Salis, do you want to try? I want to try. Salis observed the people dancing to the music around them, their rhythm and steps. In just a moment, he took a standard dancing pose and embraced Tia. Wait, he doesn't know how to dance. Did I somehow invite him to dance because I was thinking useless things earlier? But what's going on? He's completely leading me. You dance well. The sudden compliment stunned Salis. Is this considered good? I'm not very good at dancing either, but I feel like you're doing great. Have you danced before? The rhythm of dance is different from swordsmanship or hand-to-hand combat. It's impossible to imitate it perfectly the first time. Salis was even leading her, even though she didn't know how to dance at all. It seems he really was a noble before. Even though nobles face many hardships, they only become somewhat downtrodden when they fall from grace. How could he have been sold into slavery on the battlefield? Salis, don't you want to regain your childhood memories? I haven't thought about it. Is it something I must do? It's not that you have to, but you might have parents or family. Don't you want to find them? Although Tia hated and resented her family, the reason she hadn't severed ties with them was because she was afraid of being completely alone. So even though her family was shameless, she was still afraid of being kicked out of the house. Salis, aren't you afraid of being alone? No, I'm not. Is it because you haven't completely left the military mindset that you answer like this? You should think more about family. Suddenly, a shout attracted everyone's attention. I love you. From the moment I first saw you, my world has been filled with only you. Will you marry me? The girl being proposed to didn't show any surprise. She rolled her eyes dramatically. I already rejected you indirectly and hinted that you shouldn't do this. But you still don't understand. You thought I'd say yes just because you proposed in front of all these people. So annoying. A public proposal should only happen when both people have already agreed to marry. It's pathetic, but he brought this on himself. See, Salis, relationships between people don't always go the way you want. You can only move forward together if you follow each other's feelings. A small, questioning voice piped up, marriage. If that woman accepts the proposal, will they be together forever? Yes, that's why before proposing, though you need to make sure the other person is mentally prepared. After all, you can't go back on your word after marriage. At this moment, Salis suddenly looked at Tia. A bad feeling welled up inside her, looking at the hopeful expression on the small child's face. But he felt like he was doomed.